progress.
Greetings in the bonds of peace, and welcome to the Vision Ani Ishi. My name is Dr. Lyons. I am a forever student of the divine vision and revelation given to the founder of the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, who had his vision and revelation in the year of 1931 in the state of Ohio at 9 a.m., June 6, first watch, third hour, and day of Pentecost, according to Yahweh's prophetic timetable given to the Hebrew nation. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley proved these facts on 3 ecclesiastical peace missions around the world to every religious organization and school of the highest learning from 1958 to 1976. As a result of his divine vision and revelation, he transcribed God, the Archetype, original pattern of the universe. This publication was given to every queen and king of the earth and their progenies, including all presidents-elect until 1980, along with a Holy Name Version Bible, revised by A.B. Trainer, an Italian Hebrew. The Holy Name Bible reveals the true and correct name of the Heavenly Father and His Son. The name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh. His divine title is Elohim. The name of the Son is Yahshua, the Messiah, who the whole world erroneously calls Jesus Christ. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley revealed to the world on his peace missions and within his publications the threefold tabernacle pattern that Yahweh Elohim revealed to Moses upon Mount Sinai. And instructed Moses to build one exactly like it in the wilderness of Sinai, which was the establishment of the Mosaic law and cardinal ordinances. Yahweh Elohim had led the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, instituting the Passover. After 40 years, Yahweh Elohim had commissioned Moses in the audience of the children of Israel to place his hand upon Yahshua, the son of Nun, to give him charge to lead the people to the promised land before Moses had entered into Mount Nebo. 33 days later, Eleazar and the sons of Aaron, bearing the Ark of the Covenant, placed the soles of their feet upon the river Jordan, and it opened up like it unto the Red Sea. Therefore, Yahshua, the son of Nun, commissioned 12 men of valor to retrieve 12 stones from the midst of the river Jordan, to fulfill his promise to Father Abraham 430 years before the law, that Yahweh Elohim had opened up the Red Sea like he did the river Jordan. Yahshua therefore had numbered the children of Israel, confirming the seed of circumcision to the cherubim Michael, captain of the host of Yahweh. To remove the reproach of Egypt from the children of Israel once they had entered into Canaan's land. 480 years after the children of Israel departed out of the land of Egypt, the foundation of this temple was laid. 7 years to the completion of this temple in correlation to the 7 days of creation. In like manner, according to the 3 phenomenal days, a day for a year, it took 3 days to defer. So that all the instruments within this tabernacle will be placed within the temple of King Solomon upon Mount Moriah. This is a total of a 490-year cycle. The same divine service that was carried out for 33 years pertaining to the law of Moses was carried out for 33 years in the temple of King Solomon, before the invasion and destruction of this temple by the king of Egypt, King Shishak. John on the Isle of Patmos bear witness that Yahshua was the true Messiah and the Lamb of Yahweh to take away the sins of the world. John bared record that Yahshua told the Pharisees and scribes of his day to destroy this temple and in 3 days I will raise it again. In like manner, John bared record that when the centurion guard had pierced Yahshua within the side, that out forth came blood and water. Yahshua had offered himself through his eternal spirit one time unto the Father to remove sin in the flesh. By the operation of his death, his burial, his resurrection, his ascension, and outpouring of the Holy Spirit, 33 AD. Whereupon 120 in the upper room was persecuted for 7 years for preaching that Yahshua was a true Messiah and the fulfillment of the law of Moses. In correlation to the 70 years of servitude, that in the process of time when the Hebrew nation was dispersed amongst the Gentile nation, that in AD 40, in the process of time, the Gentile nations will be engrafted into the body of the Messiah as one new man, by the believing and preaching of the gospel and the salvation, which was once delivered unto the children or sons of Yahweh. These illustrations can be proven in the 1941 edition and on page 69 in the 12th edition of God the Archetype, original pattern of the universe, called the Apostolic Confirmation of Moses and John of the Creation. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley gave us rules of engagement pertaining to his vision, that the manifestation would change, but the principle will remain the same. That being said, study to show thyself approved, a workman who needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And may the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, teach you all things. My aims and objectives are to help you find Yahshua the Messiah in your heart and in your mind. 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 5. 1 Corinthians 6, 17 through 20. 2 Corinthians 3, verses 1 through 6. My second aim and objective is to show you how Yahweh wrote his laws in your inward parts. Jeremiah 31, 31, Hebrews 8, 10 through 13. My third aim and objective is to help you discern the sons of Elohim and the sons of the devil. 1 John 3rd chapter, 1 John 4th chapter, verses 1 through 10. My fourth aim and objective is to show and prove that Yahshua is the true Eloah, whom Yahweh have sent. 1 John 5 and 20, John 17 and 3. My fifth aim and objective is to reveal that the children of faith in Yahshua the Messiah are the true seed of Abraham. Galatians 3, 26 through verse 29. My sixth aim and objective is to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery which from the beginning of the age have been hid in Yahweh, who created all things by Yahshua the Messiah. Ephesians 3 and 9. My seventh aim and objective, to endeavor to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bonds of peace. Ephesians 4 and 3. My eighth aim and objective is to press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Yahweh in Yahshua the Messiah. Philippians 3 and 14. My ninth aim and objective is to make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the nations, which is the Messiah in you, the hope of glory. Colossians 1 and 27. My 10th aim and objective is proving the existence and destruction of Satan and his demons through the dispensation and ages. Romans 1:18 through verse 32 and Romans 2, 1 through 16. At this particular time, we'll be having a prayer, our scripture reading, announcements, our script ascertainment and perception and direction exam. We'll be having a speaker, our doxology, which is Ephesians 3rd chapter, verses 20 through 21. At this particular time, we'll be having our prayer. Heavenly Father Yahweh, your servant, thank you, Heavenly Father, for all things. I ask, Heavenly Father, that it be you that speak. I ask that you use my vessel, Heavenly Father. I ask that my temple be pleasing for your dwelling, so that you may manifest all 9 of your major divine attributes within me in righteousness. I ask, Heavenly Father, that you allow the message to be clear pertaining to your purpose. I thank you for all things, Heavenly Father. I thank you for the love. I thank you for the strength. I thank you for the wisdom and intelligence, Heavenly Father, that you have allowed your servant to manifest. Thank you for protecting me, Heavenly Father. Thank you for the things and the gifts that you have given unto me. And more so of all, Heavenly Father, I just thank you for allowing me to be thankful. I ask, Heavenly Father, that you just be you, Heavenly Father, and allow the world, Heavenly Father, to see you as you really are and as you really exist, Heavenly Father. I ask these things in the name of the only begotten Son, Yahshua the Messiah. Hallelujah. At this particular time, we'll be having our scripture lesson, which will be read out of the Holy Name Version, Bible critically compared with ancient authorities in various manuscripts, revised by A.B. Trainer in Italian Hebrew, revised by Yahshua Promotions. And our scripture lessons for this evening's class will be Revelations, the 22nd chapter. And it reads as follows. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruit, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the trees were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him, and they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for Yahweh Elohim giveth them light, and they shall reign for him. They shall reign forever and ever. And he said unto me, these sayings are faithful and true. And Yahweh Elohim of the holy prophets sent his angel to show his servant the things which shortly be done. Behold, I come suddenly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of this prophecy of this book. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then saith he unto me, see thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and thy brother, the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book, worship Yahweh. And he said unto me, seal not the sayings of this prophecy, of this book, for the time is at hand. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come suddenly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. I am the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Blessed are they that do his commandment, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. I, Yahshua, have sent my angel to testify unto you these things in the assembly. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. And the Spirit and the bride say, come. and let him that heareth say, Come. And let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of this prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, Yahweh shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. If any man shall take away from the words of this book, of this prophecy, Yahweh shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which were written in this book. He which testifieth the things saith, Surely I come suddenly. So be it, even so come Yahshua. The grace of our Savior, Yahshua the Messiah, be with you all. I have read Revelations, the 22nd chapter.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. At this particular time, we'll be having our announcements. Our announcements for this evening's class. Dr. Johnson, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
I spoke with Elder Van Hook this evening, and this evening's announcements is that we're looking for one of our brethren. We haven't seen him for some time. His mother's looking for him. Dr. Bennett is looking for her son, Dr. Sean Posey. If anybody have heard of his whereabouts, know how he's doing, his mother's interested to know how he's doing. And so I would ask that if anybody has heard how he's doing or his whereabouts, could you please notify somebody in the Oakland, California branch to let us know the whereabouts or if Dr. Posey is doing well. And on that note, I'd like to thank Elder Van Hook for her contribution for the things she does with this ministry. I would like to thank all of our viewers for viewing. I thank you for your comments, the good ones as well as the bad ones. And I would like to say that you other individuals that have your own pages, that are doctors or ministers, when you're leaving a comment, leave a comment. You just leaving your website, with nothing on it. So, if you have something to say, leave a comment, whether if it's good or bad, positive, we accept them all. And as I said before, I apologize that I cannot, at this particular time, respond to them, but they are greatly appreciated. And I would like to say for our first-time viewers, our new viewers that are coming on to the program, I know you like to see the new things that are being said, but if you have been following us for some time, that we always ask you to go back to our first 42 lectures so that you can be able to see the purpose from beginning to end, be discussed using all of the plates, charts within our class, and as well the lectures that we have used, all of the textbooks, things of that particular nature to expound upon the divine vision and revelation of our founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley. So our first 42 lectures would be a treat. So we always ask that you go back there so that you will be able to understand the things that we are talking about now, based upon the ramifications and correlations that we are using. So that being said, that will conclude my announcements. Excuse me. And so what we will be doing at this particular time is getting into our ecologies and see what Yahweh Elohim has for us this evening. And so let's see what he has provided.
Okay.
Okay. So at this particular time for our first ecology, today is the 18th of November. So we shared with you that we are in the month of Bull. And so that should put us, let's see, the 11th to 12th day. Let's see where we are. We have been here for a while, but it is always good for us to come here to see where we are in time, because I shared with you that what we have been doing is the first year that the children of Israel have departed out of the land of Egypt. What we have been doing is following, day by day, month by month sequence, showing and revealing the things that have been taking place within the month, as well as authenticating the divine vision and revelation of our founder pertaining to principles of our perception and direction exam. So this is the reason why that we go over these things. We run these ramifications and these particular principles to help you see certain things and to help you get a better understanding of the vision and revelation of our founder. So here, as I said, that it puts us on our second civil month and our 8th sacred month. We shared with you how that when we had our class on Tuesday, the last class on Tuesday, that it was the 10th. So now that's Wednesday, Thursday. And so therefore it would be the 12th. Also, it would be manifesting the 219th day, according to the prophetic calendar. And this is pertaining to when Yahweh Elohim said that this shall be the first day of the month, first day of the year. And as well, when we come down here, and it being the 12th, when we come all the way down here, being the 4th day of the week, as well, it is the 204th day that the children of Israel had departed out of the land of Egypt. Okay, so that's where we are. We shared with you the 2 zodiac signs of Scorpio and Sagittarius, gave you the meanings of those pertaining to our astrology and astrological account, to show you the things that are happening on the major and minor axis. That is the reason why that we come here. And so therefore, when we pick these things up and we come back and we grab the ecologies that we get, that you can understand based upon what zodiac house that we are in, that you can see some of the things within these particular ramifications, the reason why that they are taking place the way that they are, because they were already foretold according to the astrological count that's within the heavens, pertaining to the purpose of Yahweh Elohim.
Yeah, and I think according to the Zodiac, we're approaching the end of Scorpius, so we should be entering Sagittarius next week.
Yeah, so we know that just like how we show the circles on the vision of the elementary chart, that we understand that the zodiac houses, they overlap one with another. So what happens is that basically, even though that we had just left, what was that? Was that Libra and Scorpio?
Yeah.
Sagittarius, that all 3 of those particular zodiac houses overlap because we still have intertwining principles of the 3. So we always keep those like that because we understand that the pattern of running 3s and pertaining to the zodiac houses, you will see some principles of those particular zodiac houses, because you have to understand that some of the constellations are intertwined within those zodiac houses that remanifest themselves throughout the months, all the way until we may end, like I said, Sagittarius. You still may see some constellations manifest from Libra and Scorpio. So that's the reason why that we say the things that we say. And we have proved that on, past lectures. If you go back in the past, you will see how we have picked up constellations that were later within time based upon, based upon time when we was looking at some of the things within our constellations. So that being said, let us move on. And we come here to our first ecology, which brings us to the Bay Area. And it reveals here that we had a 3.8 magnitude earthquake. It says felt around the Bay Area. San Ramon. Cron TV states that the United States Geological Survey is reporting a 3.8 magnitude earthquake localized in San Ramon. No damages have been reported to the Contra Costa region. Fire Communications Center, as a result of the 3 San Ramon area earthquake initially reported by the U.S. Geological Survey as being between a 2.6 and 3.8 magnitudes just before noon today. Reports are coming in that it was felt without Walnut Creek, Menlo Park, Pleasanton, San Ramon, Pleasant Hill, and San Francisco. Its depths is to be reported 10.9 kilometers. 2 aftershocks have been, the first was a 2.6 and the second hitting a 3.0 magnitude. More than 300 people reported feeling it. So now when we look at this particular ecology here, it talks about how we had a 3.8. What we do is that we come to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley. And we shared with you on many occasions how that when we have earthquakes, things of that particular nature, what we do is that it allows us to be able to come here to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, because this is our perception and our direction then. Our direction is to lead us to the Messiah, and that is also our direction. So our perception is that we focus on all things because Yahshua had fulfilled everything pertaining to the law and prophets, okay? So based upon the law that was given unto Moses, Yahshua the Messiah hath fulfilled. This is the reason why that our perception is Yahshua the Messiah, okay? Now we have shared with you based upon the divine vision that Moses is having upon Mount Sinai, that Yahweh Elohim had revealed to him 2 principles. Pertaining to this one here, revealing the exterior part of the tabernacle that Yahweh Elohim had transmutated himself into. Here reveals the portion of the interior part of the tabernacle. We understand that Yahshua is a manifestation of the dove, okay? That's going throughout each day of creation based upon the word of Yahweh Elohim, so that his word will not come back unto him void. So this is the will and Yahshua is the do. So we understand that pertaining to these principles that Yahshua is the inner organic or the interior part of the tabernacle, as well as the interior part of the creation that allowed everything to manifest as it is. This is why we say that Yahweh Elohim had created all things through Yahshua the Messiah. For we understand that Yahweh is the substance and limits and bounds. So since this is the substance, okay, and the limits and the bounds, that Yahshua, okay, has manifested these things of the creation within these particular limits and boundaries, okay, and allowed everything to be. So when we come here and it talks about earthquakes, that we understand that when Yahshua was upon the cross, that when he died upon the cross, that we understand that there was an earthquake there, okay, and that was pertaining to his death. Then we understand that the centurion, after Yahshua had given up the ghost, he had testified and said that this was truly, truly the Son of the Most High. As well, we understand that when Yahshua had resurrected and the angel rolled away the stone and Yahshua resurrected from the grave, that there was another earthquake. So what we are showing and revealing to you that within the process of 3 days, that there were 2 earthquakes that had manifested. one pertaining to his death and another pertaining to his resurrection. Okay? So therefore, we understand that when we look at these particular principles and we understand the number of Yahweh Elohim, that his number is 888. That is, and we come here, we share with you these particular principles, okay? And so therefore, we will go over them again because we learn by repetition. Now, when we come here to the divine vision of Dr. Burbank Mitchell, it reveals the principles of Aya, Asher, Aya, how Yahweh said that I will be what I will to be. Here it is showing that Yahweh Elohim's number is 888 or 3/8, okay, pertaining to the 3.8 earthquake that we just got through talking about that manifested within the East Bay. We share with you that when we have a 3.6 earthquake that we come here because it's manifesting principles of the satanic spirit. You understand what I'm saying? Pertaining to a delusion. So here it reveals how Yahweh Elohim will be a revelation or he will be a delusion. You understand? Here is revealing how that the father of lies has his head with everlasting chains of darkness upon his head. And then here it is revealing how Yahweh Elohim has the crown of light. So here within this particular ecology, it was saying that we had a 3.8 earthquake, okay? So therefore we wanted to come here and show you these particular principles. It said also within this particular ecology that it said that there were 2 earthquakes. It says that the first one was a manifestation of a 2.6. So we shared with you that when we look at these particular principles, what happens is that we were taught to come look at the particular principles of what it meant about a 2.6. Now, what we do is that when we look at these fundamental principles, we come here to the divine vision and revelation of our founder right here. We come here to the ages and dispensations chart. It said that we had a 2.6 earthquake. So what happens is it allowed us to be able to come here to the ages and dispensations chart and see how when we come here to the second dispensation that it picks up principles pertaining to the Noetic covenant, okay? So that allows us to be able to come here. Now it says pertaining to that it was a 2.6. So when we come here, that it is talking about the spiritual assembly or body of Yahshua the Messiah. So that allows us to be able to come here. So what we're looking at is the promise that Yahweh Elohim had given unto Noah, saying that he would never destroy the earth by water again. He gave that covenant unto Noah and all living creatures upon the face of the earth. So when we look at the promise, you understand I'm saying how Yahweh Elohim said that he would not destroy the earth by water. And we come over here and we look how that this was pertaining to the spiritual assembly or body of Yahshua. All right. Now we see how that was the first quake. You understand what I'm saying? Based upon a 2.6. Then it says pertaining to the principles of a 3.8. So what happens is that it allows us to be able to come here and we look at what's manifesting here pertaining to the principles of Melchizedek based upon the promise that was given unto Father Abraham. So here, when we look at the promise that was given to Noah based upon the 2.6 and then based upon the 3.8 allows us to be able to come here pertaining to the promise that Yahweh Elohim had given to Father Abraham. Now, we shared with you the promise how when we showed you the 2.6, how Yahweh had promised that he would never destroy the earth by water based upon the flood. Now here, when he gave Father Abraham the promise, he said that in thy seed, singular, that all nations of the earth shall be blessed, okay? Now, when we look at the principle based upon what it says about that it being a 3.8, what we do is that we understand that when it's talking about the Abrahamic promise, that what happens is allows us to be able to come over here to see how it's fulfilled. And how it says that Abraham's promise was that in thy seed singing how all nations of the earth will be blessed, because it allowed us to be over within the spiritual kingdom on earth pertaining to Yahshua the Messiah. And so therefore, once we see how that Yahshua must come in the order of Melchizedek, because he couldn't come as the the Aaronite priesthood. You understand? So therefore, when he came as the Melchizedek priesthood was because that this priesthood was an everlasting priesthood, okay? And pertaining to the promise, how that all nations shall be blessed. And when we get over here within the fifth and sixth dispensation, that we see pertaining to the spiritual assembly or body of Yahshua Messiah, how that all nations shall be blessed because we have the Jew and the Gentiles over here that's receiving the spirit of Yahshua Messiah over here within the kingdom. You understand? So what happens is that when we come over here to the divine vision that's being revealed and we look at these same particular principles, that when we come up here, that what we do is that we run the same principles right up here, okay? Now, the reason why we went through the ages and the dispensation chart to show you it like that was because when we come here, okay, it says that the first earthquake was a 2.6. That brings us right here. Don't you see a 2 right here? And 6 right here. Matter of fact, what I need to do is zoom in a little bit more so that you will be able to see what I'm talking about pertaining to these particular principles, okay? See, because, you know, all these things that manifest, all of them are on the chart. You understand what I'm saying? And Yahweh Elohim has his chart set up a certain way, and the things that are happening within the world based upon the ecologies that we're coming here to the divine vision to extract the witnesses from. So based upon the first earthquake is revealing to you how it was a 2.6 and we come here, which reveals how it is pertaining to the crucifixion of Yahshua Messiah, and then as well as pertaining to his resurrection when we're looking at the principles of 6. You understand? So therefore, when we come here and we see how that it is pertaining to how Yahshua Messiah had fulfilled the law and the prophets, and then when we look at the 6, how it's pertaining to the resurrection and ascension, that is the principles of death and life right here when we come here pertaining to these particular principles here. As well, it is picking up the principles of the spiritual body or assembly of Yahshua Messiah, because when we look at it in Hebrew, you understand what I'm saying, it's no longer a 2.6, but it becomes a 6.2. So therefore, these particular principles are irrechangeable. Now, when we come here, and then we drop down and we see how it's a 3.8, and it's talking about the persecution and end, you understand what I'm saying, that it brings us to the seventh dispensation. But what happens is pertaining to this 3.8, and we look at these particular principles that's in it, and it says how that that when we come here to the ages and dispensations, and we look at how that how this particular principle run on the ages and the dispensation, and we see how that it takes us all the way back to Father Abraham, that is going back to the promise pertaining to how all nations of the families of the earth shall be blessed through his seed, which is singular, pertaining to Yahshua Messiah. Now, we share with you that when you look at these, that this is the principle of 888 pertaining to Yahweh Elohim's number, but yet and still we have it principle as the worlds that's manifested on our elementary chart, okay? So that's the reason why that we have it, you know what I'm saying, going across like this. So here, what we're going to do is that when we look at the particular principles pertaining to Father Abraham that's in relative unto Yahshua the Messiah, that when we come here and we drop down, what we wanted to show you was these particular principles, okay, so that you would be able to understand it, all right? So what we do is that we show it to you like this so that you can be able to see it how we see it, okay? So maybe you could understand the ramifications. Now here we have shared with you how that when you're looking at this particular chart, that this particular chart is the same as this particular chart. We're showing you the principles here of how we have the angelic and the physical creation manifesting right here. We have shared with you on many occasions how that everything that manifests within the angelic creation must take its residence within the physical creation. So when you see how we got this dotted perforated line right here, and we got principles of the angelic and the physical, that allows us to be able to come here to show you how do we have the angelic and we have the physical manifesting right here, okay? Just like how we have manifesting right here, okay? Then when you see how that we have the first dispensation pertaining to Adam, you understand that allows us to be able to come here, because here is the angelic and the physical, and then here we have Adam manifesting right here, just like how you see on the ages and dispensations chart, and it got first, okay? So therefore, when you see in first, and it's got Adam right here, it's pertaining to Adam because this is the first man. Then not only that, we took it a step further to show you how this is the first day of creation, the first man, the first dispensation, and the first river, and how all of them are conglomerated together pertaining to the principle of first, just like how you see here pertaining to the first on the ages and dispensations chart that is manifesting within the antediluvian age, okay? So this is the reason why that we have the second age here, because it's manifesting to these particular principles, all right? Now, we understand that when we came here, when we was looking at the principles and angelic and physical, that we understand it was principles pertaining to the creative age. We come right here, you understand what I'm saying? Because we understand that this was a creation, and then pertaining to that, we understand how it was finished. So this is the reason why that we got the first age here, which was the creative age, but we come here to show how that once the creation was finished, and we come over here and showing you the first man and things of that particular nature, is that's because that this was after the transgression. You understand? So that's why we have those principles like that. Then when we come over, it says here how we got the second dispensation, okay, pertaining to Noah. So what we do is from the first dispensation, we come here to the second dispensation because this picks up the principles of Noah, okay? This is the second day of creation, the second dispensation, and the second river pertaining to the four rivers that had manifested within the Garden of Eden. Now here is showing you how that we have the third dispensation, okay? And here we have Melchizedek and the Abrahamic promise, okay? This is how that we come here and we have Father Abraham manifesting right here pertaining to the principles of the third day of creation, as well as the third dispensation of what you see here, because what you're looking at is the ages and dispensations, as well as you're looking at the days of creation come in, okay? So when you're looking at the ages and dispensation and the days coming in simultaneously, you can see how all these principles are matched up one with another. So here we have Father Abraham manifesting right here, okay, because it's the third day of creation, and Father Abraham manifesting within the third dispensation is manifesting a principle of seed, okay? And pertaining to the third day of creation, we understand how seed was bearing seed after its own kind. And so therefore, as we go through our moderation, and we share with you how all nations, based upon the families, all nations of the families of the earth shall be blessed through thy seed, singular, which is Yahshua Messiah. And that's because this is Abraham's seed. You understand what I'm saying? And it's singular pertaining to Yahshua the Messiah, how all nations of the earth shall be blessed. So that's why we come here, because we're looking at seed bearing seed after its own kind. And Abraham is the father of righteousness. You understand? So that's how we pick up that particular principle there pertaining to that, all right? Now here, when we come to the fourth dispensation, now we understand that this was the beginning of the law, okay? And so therefore, pertaining to the principles that we have within the fourth dispensation, here we have the Old Testament or Old Covenant. You understand what I'm saying? And it has right above it, promise or Mosaic law. So we understand that when we come to the fourth dispensation, things of that particular nature, what we do is that we come to the fourth day of creation, because it's picking up the fourth dispensation, the fourth day, and it's also picking up the principles of the fourth river. We understand that Yahshua is the number 4, and he came in on the 4,000 year and within the fourth dispensation to fulfill all these things pertaining to the law, okay, that Moses had received. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason why that when we look at this particular principle, we have Yahshua up here, just like how we have the crucifixion up here. We have in right here. We have in right here to show you how Yahshua had fulfilled everything that was natural and physical after everything came from the creative age. You understand? So we have everything just like how we have here, picking up the 4 principles, just like we shared with you. We got the creative age. We got the angelic, we got the physical, we got Adam, we got Noah, we pick up the third and fourth dispensation, we got Abrahamic promise, and then we got the Mosaic law are being fulfilled by Yahshua the Messiah. We got the cross up here showing you the end. Now, when we're showing you the principles pertaining to the 5th and 6th dispensation, what happens is that we don't go out. You understand what I'm saying? Because we understand that when we look at these particular principles of how that all these were natural and physical, how that when we get here that we go into the spirit. So therefore, since we go into the spirit, what happens is that we don't go out. What we do is that we go in and stay within the confines of the holy place, because the holy place is manifesting spiritual principles, because we understand that that's the fifth step pertaining to the tabernacle pattern. So that's what allows us to stay within the holy place. Okay, so that's what happened when we had picked up the principles of the fifth and sixth dispensation over here. We did not go out. What we did was we went back in to the holy place, because we understand that Yahshua had fulfilled all these things that were physical and natural and brought them to an end. And what happens that we understand that here is the physical, and now this is the spiritual reality of it, because when we look back how that it began, it started off with angelic and manifested within the physical. And so therefore it done the same thing when Yahshua Messiah had fulfilled these principles. He took it right back into the spiritual realm. That's what we understand to be the angelic creation. Okay, so when we come back here and we share with you how we went in, now here we have the fifth dispensation. That's picking up the principles pertaining to the New Testament. So therefore, when we come here and we're showing you the principles of the fifth dispensation, it's talking about the New Testament. This is the reason why that Moses is throwing down the Old Testament. You understand what I'm saying? Because all things have passed away and all things have become new. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, what he is doing is eradicating the things pertaining to the law, because Yahshua Messiah had fulfilled those things. You understand? But like I said, we have to come within. So this is the reason why that we have the principles pertaining to the fifth day, or the fifth dispensation, are manifesting right here within the holy place, because it is the fifth step of the tabernacle. Now, when we come to the sixth step, we come right here to the sixth dispensation. You understand what I'm saying? To reveal to you how it is talking about the spiritual body or assembly of Yahshua the Messiah. So what happens is that when we come here, we're showing you how that this is a manifestation of the spiritual assembly or body of Yahshua the Messiah. Here we got the principles of 6 and 2, or 2 and 6, and showing you the shield of faith. Why? Because we have all the individuals in the armor of Elohim. You understand what I'm saying? So that they can be able to withstand the wiles of the adversary, because everybody now are soldiers of Yahshua the Messiah, because he has enlisted or recruited them, because he has given them his spirit. And so therefore, when we look at this and we're showing you the principles of this rainbow manifesting right here, you understand what I'm saying? Going like this is revealing to you the promise of Yahweh Elohim, how he poured his spirit out within the hearts and minds of man, and this being the spiritual kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah. Here is Yahshua the Messiah here within this kingdom with the keys, okay, pertaining to the law and prophets, showing that based upon after he went through his death, his burial, his resurrection, his ascension, and the outpouring of his Holy Spirit to within the hearts and minds of man, you understand what I'm saying? It is showing you how that we are all in the new earth state. So this is the reason why that we pick up these fundamental principles. So therefore, when it says a 3.8 and it's picking up the principles of Yahshua the Messiah, and it happened again within the Bay Area. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, if we have the 3.8, we had it again within the Bay Area, and we're showing you how this is Yahweh Elohim's number. What we're just showing you principles. You understand what I'm saying? And it's revealing to you where the spirit of Yahweh Elohim is. Now, this is not the first time that we didn't have a 3.8. I do believe that this is the third time. If I do stand to be corrected, but I think that this is maybe the second or third time that we have had a 3.8 earthquake that have manifested within the Bay Area. Now, this is the third time. You understand what I'm saying? According to the threefold intangible tabernacle pattern. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken. Now, we haven't had it 3 times, we had it 2. And one thing that we must understand is the court roundabout has been done away with. So therefore, the principles that we have should only be the most holy place and the holy place. But to my recollection that I do remember 2 prior times that we have had a 3.8 earthquake. You know what I'm saying? To show you the principles in between those who is a 3.8 and those who are at 3.6, because we showed you those particular principles, okay? So this is the reason why that we come here. Now it says that there were 2 earthquakes, okay? And it was 2 aftershocks. The reason why that it was 2 earthquakes, why? Because it has to go to the law and to the prophets. If it does not go according to these 2 faithful witnesses, it is a principle because that there is no light that is in them. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, based upon this particular earthquake and all of the ground that it is covering, and you're looking at, it's taking you all the way back, all the way to the beginning of things. Now, when we come, we already took us back to the principles pertaining to what happened with Adam. And then we share with you pertaining to the principles of how when we see the 2.6 that has picked up the promise of Noah, okay? And then it's bringing us over here to show how that is pertaining to the body or assembly of Yahshua, okay? So it's giving you a promise, okay? And Yahweh is telling you based upon his promise to the assembly of Yahweh Elohim that when you're looking at all these atmospherical rivers and things of that particular nature and these flash floods, you understand what I'm saying? That's not the end. Okay, why? Because Yahweh Elohim is telling us, and he's telling us by the second age and dispensation that he said that he would never destroy the world again by water. But at this particular time, that when we're having these particular things, these earthquakes, these particular flash floods, things of that particular nature, that the water level is rising. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of places are being flooded. People are having to be evacuated. You understand what I'm saying? But Yahweh Elohim is revealing his purpose, okay? And what he is telling you is that what happened in the beginning, so shall it happen within the end. But this is the prophecy that he told us that would happen over there in Matthew, the 24th chapter. So this is the reason why all these things are manifesting. He said there should be earthquake in diverse places. There should be rumors of wars. You understand what I'm saying? There should be floods, okay? There should be things of these particular natures that are manifesting. But he says when you see them, know for sure that the end has not yet come. You understand?
Yeah.
But these are things to show us that an upcoming, okay, that for us to prepare ourselves because the end is coming quickly. So just based upon that, you know, we just want to keep it very, very simple, okay? Show you the ramifications, show you the validity of based upon what it is talking about. Now, it says that it ran 10.9 kilometers in depth. You understand what I'm saying? So when we look at the in-depthness of what it is talking about, you know, we have to see the deep things of Yahweh Elohim. That's why these earthquakes always talk about the in-depthness of how deep within the earth that these particular earthquakes was that have shaken all the way up to where we're getting, you know what I'm saying, these readings on the Epincer scales. You understand? And so when we look at the Epincer and the reading that we're getting, and we're looking at the depthness, that we understand that when it's talking about a 10.9, that it brings us right here because it's talking about principles of the law. We understand that we have a 10 commandment law that was given unto the children of Israel. You understand what I'm saying? So when it's talking about a 10.9, what we do is that we come to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, as I said, pertaining to our perception and our direction exam. And what happens is that brings us right here to where Moses is on the plateau of this particular mountain, because it's talking about a 10.9. So we have to understand what Yahweh Elohim had told Moses, okay? So he told Moses, he says, Moses, he says, come up here and come up here alone, you and your minister, and I will give you tables of stone that you shall take and put within the meeting tent, okay? Now we understand that this tabernacle pattern was not even built at the time, and Moses was supposed to take these 10 commandment stones and take them right up here and set them within this meeting tent where Yahshua the son of Nun stayed until this particular tabernacle or the Ark of Covenant was being, you know, being made. But yet and still, when Moses came down from the mountain, because he heard a noise within the camp based upon what Yahshua told him, he says, I hear war in the camp. And Moses says that I don't hear that of war, but of mastery, and came and he's seen how the children of Israel was doing this. What happened was that Moses did what? He broke the 10 commandment stones. You understand what I'm saying? Based upon the transgression of the children of Israel because of his anger. Okay. So Moses was the only one who threw a stone. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like Yahshua said that he who is without sin cast the first stone. So here we're seeing how Moses was the only one who was without sin. And what did he do? He cast a stone. You understand?
Yeah.
So now it's talking about that this particular deafness of this earthquake was the 10.9. So pertaining to the 10 is pertaining to the law. Now, when it's talking about the 9, we have 9 major attributes, okay, where Yahweh Elohim had took on shape and form. You understand? So therefore, pertaining to that, we are showing you that based upon these 9 divine attributes, okay, what is a representation of spirit law of how the creation came in, that it is picking up the immutable law of Yahweh Elohim, that Yahweh Elohim cannot lie, nor can Yahweh Elohim change. So that what it is manifesting pertaining to the principles of the 10.9, okay, indefinite. It is revealing that it is a spiritual law pertaining to the attributes, the 9 divine attributes of Yahweh Elohim and the law of Moses, but based upon it is revealing the spiritual law of how the creation came in. So therefore, it is talking about the immutable law of Yahweh Elohim. You understand what I'm saying? And to reveal to you how Yahweh Elohim does not change. So when it's going back to the immutable law of the immutable law or immutable spiritual law of Yahweh Elohim, and we're looking at this, okay? And it's going back, picking up all these particular principles here, because we revealed to you here how we got spirit law manifesting right here. Now, what we do is that when we look at all of them, we'll do this just for the sake of understanding, you know what I mean? So that we can show our viewers how this is taking place and how it's being revealed, okay?
What I like about the he who is without sin cast the first stone, that whole scenario was the same exact order when Yahweh was writing on a stone, and then Moses cast a stone. So Yahshua knelt down and he was writing in the sand, and then he says, he without sin cast the first stone. It happened in the same exact order.
That's correct. See, because what it is picking up the principles of a woman, you know what I'm saying, in the act of adultery. And so therefore we understand that when the children of Israel said that everything that Yahweh said that we will do at the base of that mountain, that was likened unto a marriage. Because that's what you say to your wife is I do. So therefore, when they were down in the land of Egypt, he says, out of Egypt I have called my son. And then once they come up out of the land of Egypt and come into the wilderness of Sinai, then the son becomes a woman, then he marries him as a bride. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, what happens is that when they partake of the golden calf, that was likened unto an act of adultery, or the woman partaking of the tree of the knowledge of good and of evil. So therefore, those same principles had to remanifest, and that's the reason why Moses had strewed, you understand what I'm saying, the burnt calf amongst the waters and allowed the children of Israel to be able to consume it, just like how they had consumed the fruit of the knowledge of the tree of good, of evil, and that started the explosion from the garden, okay? So therefore, those principles had to remanifest.
Yep.
Now here, we're showing you how we have all nine divine attributes manifesting right here, okay, pertaining to the principles within the Theosophy. We share with you that this is the principle of man and woman, how the Theosophy is the joy of the principles of Yahweh Elohim and his supernal nature. We showed you principles pertaining to how you got the white cloud right here and then the red to reveal to you principles of how that it was a cloud by day, fire by night, based upon the principles of when Yahweh Elohim had led the children of Israel up out of the land of Egypt. So therefore, when you see how you got the white heart around the red heart, this is showing the communion of the man and the woman, okay? And revealing to you principles of this is the kingdom and that's the kingdom, that this is showing you the man and the woman coming together. And so therefore, when you come here to the first three plates and you see how you got a big heart, okay, within all these other hearts, and you notice pertaining to the other spiritual laws that you don't have this manifesting right here, that this is showing forth the prolifius based upon the communion of a man and a woman come together, and this is the offspring, in like manner that this is the principle or the birth of Yahshua the Messiah. We share with you those particular principles. And then based upon in the beginning, that this is how Yahshua had, how he was born, he went through his death, his burial, and his resurrection, okay, pertaining to the principles of the phenomenal, 3 phenomenal days that had linked up to the first day of creation, of how everything came in, and this was our foundation, how the creation came in life. So now, when we count these particular hearts based upon how, when we see the Theosophy that there are 9, that we come here that there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8. And so therefore, when we come all the way down, see, and we pick up the angelic transgression, when we share with you how that this is a manifestation of the angelic and the angelic creation and the physical creation, showing you what happened in the angelic manifested within the physical, that this is the 9th heart, okay? Showing you and revealing to you the angelic transgression, all right? So what we do is that when we look at how that we have the 9 divine attributes, which manifesting the immutable spiritual law of Yahweh Elohim, because this is what this particular earthquake is manifesting, and is manifesting the immutable spirit law, sharing with you how that Yahweh Elohim cannot change and will not change. You understand what I'm saying? And showing you how that this is Yahshua the Messiah, okay? And based upon the law that he is saying, based upon the immutable law that will not change, because it is the in-depthness of this 10.9, and he is revealing how that we are in Yahshua Messiah's kingdom, and this is him, and Yahshua is the true Elohim. Okay, so this is what this ecology is saying to us. we have to learn how Yahweh Elohim is speaking to us. We have to come up on a higher level and learn how he is speaking to us based upon the things within his creation. Because you say, well, that's kind of a little far-fetched. Well, all I would do is tell you to go get Romans 1:19 and 20. Doc, if you can, could you get for me Romans 1:19 and 20, please?
Okay. Almost there. Romans 1:19 and 20. Okay. Because that which may be known of Yahweh is manifest in them.
Oh, so if anything to be known about Yahweh Elohim is manifested within the individual. Why?
For Yahweh has showed it unto them.
Oh, because he has showed it unto you. Read.
For the invisible things of him.
Wait a minute. Creation. Now, for the invisible things of him, because it says within the scriptures that no one has seen the Father at any time. So therefore, since no one has seen the Father at any time, that we must understand the invisible things of him. So therefore, it takes us back to the supernal nature of Yahweh Elohim. Okay? So now read.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
Oh, so invisible things of him, and based upon the things of the creation, which are clearly seen. Okay, read.
Being understood by the things that are made.
And so therefore, being understood by the things that are made is allowing us to have an understanding of the invisible presence of Yahweh Elohim, because those particular witnesses are within us. Read.
Even his eternal power and supernal nature.
And so therefore, his supernal nature, we understand that that is broken down into threes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, read.
Even his eternal power and supernal nature, so that they are without excuse.
And so this is the reason why that you are without excuse, because we understand that everything is made threefold. This is pertaining to his supernal nature and his Godhead. And this is what allows us to be without excuse, because it takes us all the way back here. So this is how, when we look at this particular ecology, it brings us all the way back for us to be able to understand that this is the immutable spirit law that it is talking about. All right, when it is talking about the indefiniteness of it. Okay, so it takes us all the way back to the law of how the whole entire creation came in. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, what happens is when we look at this, that we understand how Yahweh Elohim's word did not come back unto him void. Okay, and then after this had manifested, Yahweh Elohim had rested from his work. All right. So now what we must understand is that pertaining to this particular ecology that manifested within the Bay Area at a 3.8 is manifesting the principles of how that the creation came into existence, and how Yahweh Elohim's word will not return back unto him void, and he brought forth the whole entire creation based upon a promise that he has given, saying that he will not destroy it by water again. You understand what I'm saying? But it will be fire this time. Okay. And then what we must look at that pertaining to the death, burial, and resurrection and the outpouring of the spirit of Yahshua Messiah allows us to that this particular creation is Yahshua's kingdom. So this is what we have extracted based upon this particular 3.8 earthquake, and it being 2 earthquakes. You understand what I'm saying? Based upon the principles and the ramifications that we have just ran pertaining to the perception and direction exam to authenticate the divine vision and revelation of our founder. Now, all these particular principles that you see right here, they are the same principles that are manifesting right behind you on the charts that's being revealed. The same very thing. Everything that you see right there is right there. Okay. And I can run everything and show you just what I'm talking about so that you can be able to see these things. All right. And so we go over these particular principles so that you can understand that the same thing pertaining to how that we all go through our perception and direction exam to authenticate the divine vision and revelation of our founder, that they are right here. Now, here, when you see Yahweh Elohim, or the supernal nature of Yahweh Elohim manifesting right here within the cloud, we come right here. I'm going to show you how that we got Yahweh Elohim manifesting himself right here. Okay. So therefore, when we come right here and show you principles based upon the Theosophy that is manifesting right here, we come right here and show you how right here within this heart that this is manifesting the principle of the Theosophy, because we have a heart, okay, with all nine divine attributes manifesting right here as a Theosophy, showing you that the nine attributes manifesting spirit law within all physical creation. You understand? And we showed you how that all nine attributes is manifesting all within the creation right here. Now, one thing about it is that when we look at these particular nine divine attributes, okay, and we say, okay, well, we got titles of the attributes, okay, to where we got intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, beauty, justice, love, foundation, power, and strength. Okay, so those are all nine major attributes. So when we see them all right here, how does that apply to the creation? Okay, and so what we have done based upon within the book that we have written, that what we did was based upon how all nine major attributes are here, we have broken down the nine attributes throughout the days of creation. Now, what we shared within our book, that how the manifestation would change, but the principle will remain the same. Now we didn't break up. We did not try to break up or differentiate how the nine divine attributes line up. You understand what I'm saying? All we did was break them down according to the creation to make it make sense based upon what the nine divine attributes mean, okay? So when we come here, okay, to our cosmology, we share with you how that this is wisdom. You understand what I'm saying? And the reason why that we say that this is wisdom was because it was only Yahweh Elohim's divine wisdom to make everything within the whole entire creation, within you, made us all amphibious. Everything comes from water. There is not anything living or anyone living that did not derive or come from water, because we all came from the waters of the amniotic fluids of our parent. You understand what I'm saying? Especially if we are mammals, okay? But even if we are not, based upon the way the whole entire creation came in, everything came through water. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, I share how this was the attribute of wisdom, the divine wisdom of Yahweh Elohim. And we see here how water was what? One of the first substances besides fire to manifest. And this is the reason why that fire and water is equal when we come here to plate number 2 pertaining to our Theosophy. Now, when we come here to our chaoses, that here, that this is the manifestation of knowledge, because we understand that Yahweh Elohim knows all of those who are his, and we understand that knowledge is to know. But here we're seeing how that we have the carbonous space of the deep manifesting right here. So what is manifesting right here, that there's a separation from the good angels and the bad angels. You understand what I'm saying? Now here we come here to the first day of creation to show you how this is the foundation, to show you how that the whole entire creation, that the foundation of the creation had to come in light. And we understand that pertaining to this, that he eradicated the darkness, okay, from the light here, pertaining to the principles of what's manifesting pertaining to the chaoses and what's manifesting within the first day. Now, if this is knowledge and this is foundation, and I said that Yahweh knows those who are his, and he says, let there be light, and eradicated the darkness from here, okay, this is showing you the principles of how that this is wisdom, knowledge, foundation. Now, when we come here to the second day of creation, and we see how he divided the waters above and those beneath, and he had a firmament within the middle. Now, I call the second day strength, because ain't nobody able to hold water up inside the sky and that's strong to hold up all the waters of the world within the sky but Yahweh Elohim. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the reason why that when we come here to the second day of creation, that this is the manifestation of strength pertaining to Yahweh Elohim, that's allowing the waters, you understand what I'm saying, to stay congealed within the heaven, opposed to those that are surrounding the lower part of the earth, okay? So therefore, we call the second day of creation pertaining to the 9 divine attributes, that this is the manifestation of the attribute of strength. When we come here to the third day of creation, it's kind of obvious that we understand that with all the flowers and everything that had manifested, women like flowers, so therefore we understand that this is a manifestation of beauty. Okay? When we come here and we see the fourth day of creation, that is nothing that's greater and more powerful than the sun within the sky, so therefore this is the attribute of power. When we come here and we see how that Yahweh Elohim had created the ontological and the biological kings, as I said, from water, how everything, as I said, come from water, because it was likened unto Yahweh Elohim, showing you the principle of wisdom here. So when we come here to the fifth day of creation, and this is a manifestation of intelligence, because of Yahweh Elohim's intelligence and his wisdom to make all the angels up out of water, that he come here and use intelligence to reveal to you how that everything that flies in the heavens is a representation of all the angels that are within the sky. That's how he principled as the stars that he put in the sky. So therefore, since the birds is the physical representation of the angels, he's showing intelligence here based upon the wisdom that he used here when he created the angels from the first substance of water. Okay, so therefore, now that the waters have divided based upon those above and those beneath, and these are the lower part of the waters, this is the intelligence of Yahweh Elohim, that he made the ontological and biological kings. So here, when we come to plate number 11, okay, pertaining to the man. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, when he had created the man and he put his spirit within the man, that we understand that there is no greater love, you understand what I'm saying, than the Father has bestowed, you know what I'm saying, his spirit upon his son and put his spirit within the hearts and minds of men. There is no greater love than that, because this is what made us equal with him. You understand what I'm saying? He made us in his image and in his likeness, and then he put his spirit within us. There ain't no greater love than that. Okay, so therefore, we see how that we have all 8 attributes manifesting so far. So therefore, when we come to the last attribute of justice, that when we come here and we see how that there was a war in heaven and none prevailed, you understand what I'm saying? And we see how Lucifer was kicked out into ethereal darkness to be judged until the day that is the justice based upon that we share with you from what he did here when we was revealing to you the attribute of knowledge, because he knew better, okay, and is to know. So therefore, this is the reason why that when we come here and we see the transgression that happened with the woman and the man, that the tree was called what? The tree of what? Knowledge. Okay, manifesting the principle right here that I showed you how this was knowledge here. Okay, and that's why this tree that had manifested within the garden was called the tree of knowledge of good and of evil, because this one knew good, but he done evil. And so therefore, when we come here to plate number 14, and we're revealing to you the principles, okay, of what happened right here, all right, is to show you how that it was the justice from him being kicked out of heaven up here in the most holy place to be cast down here to the lower part of the court round about and then housed in ethereal darkness, to show you how that we have chaoses, okay, right here, and then the principle of the spirit of Elohim moving upon the face of the deep, and it says that the darkness comprehended it not, okay, pertaining to the principles of Yahshua Messiah manifesting. So we just showed you all 9 of the divine attributes of how they manifest throughout the days of creation, okay, to show you the immutable spirit law of how that Yahweh Elohim does not lie, nor does he change, and is providing to you that the promises that he has given unto us, based upon the promise that he gave unto Noah, and the promise that he gave unto Father Abraham, that had manifested and hold fast to be true. How that the New Testament or the New Covenant pertaining to the spirit of Yahshua Messiah is manifesting within the hearts and minds of man. So that's what we have gathered from our first ecology. So now what we will do is we will move on to our second ecology. And I know you say, well, wow, you sure did gather a lot out of just that little bit there. But what we have to do is be very, very thorough pertaining to the purpose of Yahweh Elohim, and make sure that you are extracting all the principles, okay, out of what he is telling us, okay? Now, one more thing that I did forget. Now, it says that more than 3,000 individuals felt the quake. Moses said when he was down here that it was thunder and lightning and the whole ground and everything shook, okay, upon this mountain when Yahweh Elohim descended upon it within this fiery cloud. Now, Moses said that I exceedingly fear the quake, okay? Now, we understand that pertaining to when Moses had threw down these particular tables of stone, that he told the Levites to go get your sword and come slay every man and his brother, okay, and his neighbor. You understand what I'm saying? Because they built this particular golden calf, all right? Now, when Moses and the Levites had went through the camp and they finished slaying all the individuals who had partaken of this particular golden calf, that it says that it was 3,000 individuals that were slain. You understand what I'm saying? That was within this particular transgression. So therefore, it's that when Moses said that I exceedingly fear the quake, and we understand that Moses went down here and slayed 3,000 individuals that had partaken of this particular transgression. This is the reason why that 3,000 individuals said that they felt this particular earthquake that had manifested within the East Bay, because what it's doing is it's picking up these same particular principles. And we understand that what the manifestation would change, but the principle will remain the same. So therefore, this was a part of that 3,000. And then we understand it pertaining to the day of Pentecost, that when Peter was speaking, that he brought 3,000 back. Okay. And the 3,000 that he brought back was those of Jews who were what? Scattered amongst the nations, to where it was almost like they were apostolites. You understand what I'm saying? But yet and still it was Jews who were Hebrews, but yet from all these different nations that was spread out all upon the face of the world. So therefore it was likened unto the Gentile nation, you understand, in the spirit being poured upon them that had came back to listen to Peter, you understand what I'm saying, speak his native tongue, you understand what I'm saying, in the ears of them. So this is why 3,000 individuals have reported that they had felt the quake. You understand what I'm saying? To show you the fulfillment of what happened to them, of how they was brought back, and then to show you how that based upon the origin of the quake or the shaking, you understand what I'm saying? When Yahweh Elohim was speaking down, how that it was principled as Moses of when he slayed those that was within the camp. You understand? So therefore, when we look at that, that is showing you how that there was a taking away and a bringing them back. You understand? And so therefore, when we're looking at this, and it's talking about the principles of everything that happened within this particular 3.8 magnitude earthquake, that it is picking up the promises, how the immutable spirit law of Yahweh Elohim, which cannot change, and his promise unto the world. You understand what I'm saying? Which was given unto his son. Okay. And that promise is coming through Yahshua the Messiah, which is the 3.8. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, you know, we must look for the promise that Yahshua had given unto us of how he's going to fulfill all these particular things. And one thing about it is how he is going to pour out his spirit within the hearts and minds, you understand what I'm saying, of man. So now we have to remember that Yahshua has a baptism. You understand? So this is pertaining to that as well. So once, you know what I'm saying, we receive the baptism of Yahshua the Messiah, to where he is the only one that's going to give us the Holy Spirit within fire, because that's his baptism. Okay. The Holy Spirit in fire. Okay. So that's Yahshua's baptism. So therefore we must look for these particular things, look at these particular principles, and to understand what it is talking about this 3.8. That is 3.8 that keeps happening within the Bay Area, is picking up the promise of Yahweh Elohim of what he said was that he would surely visit Oakland. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, based upon this 3.8 that keeps happening out here in the Bay Area, is letting you know that he is here in the Bay Area, whether you want to believe it or accept it or not. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, this is the reason why that we look at these particular things, we look at these particular ecologies, we break them down as such, we go to the vision, we go to the revelation, and what we do is we go to the scriptures. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, if it fits the pattern, you understand what I'm saying, and it fits the scriptures, you understand what I'm saying? Like they say, if it fit, let's acquit. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that I touched all the principles within that ecology. Don't want to miss anything, because all of them are very important to lead us into the Messiah, so that the perception and direction exam will be, you know, like how it's supposed to be. Now, this particular ecology, I thought this one was really phenomenal. The second ecology takes us to Australia. And it says here within Australia that red crabs, okay, red crabs swarm across roads and bridges in Australia. Tens of millions of red crabs have covered roads and bridges on Christmas Island. As they wander, they take their annual migration. The crabs are traveling from the forest to the coast to spawn. The migrations beginning shortly after the first rain of the wet season. Roads have been closed to protect the crab's journey to the coast, and they cover the island in the West Australia every year. Now, this particular ecology, when I was reading it, and looking at it, it was, man, very, very phenomenal, because it was just millions and billions of crabs all over the place, man. And they were just all over the place. And it was funny because they had this person, they was walking, and they was trying to walk in between the crabs. And then, they heard, you hear them walking, and you hear some go crunch, and then they cut it real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so many of them, they accidentally stepped on one.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, let us see the ramifications of what Yahweh Elohim is talking about based upon this particular ecology. Okay, so now what we do is that it says how it was red crab swarms across the roads and bridges in Australia. And it says tens of millions of red crabs, okay? So now we have already picked up the principle, okay, based upon 10, all right? And it says tens of millions of red crabs. You look at the 10 Commandment law of Moses in his hands, what color is
it? Red.
Exactly, okay? So now what we do is that we come here to the chart that's being revealed. We want to look at these particular principles, what it's talking about, because now it's talking about crabs, okay? So what we do is brings us right here, you know what I'm saying, to the chart, so where we can look at these particular principles of what it's talking about crabs, all right? So here is our crab right here. You see the crab right here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we understand that this crab is a crustacean. You understand? Now here we have the continental shelf, okay, and slope manifesting right here. You understand what I'm saying? So what we're looking at, you understand what I'm saying, based upon this, that this is the trek. You understand what I'm saying, that the crab is taking, based upon that it is saying that these crabs take a migration every year. You understand what I'm saying? And they are red crabs. You understand? So now, based upon that, it is a red crab, and we look how that this migration based upon this crab is manifesting right here on the continental shelf, that it is bringing us right here. And what it is doing is it's showing us the principles of the organic matter in the creation. So therefore, it shows how we have the humus and the partially decomposed organic matter, which is the first foot or the horizon part of the ground surface. You understand what I'm saying? And then what happens is that when we go 2 feet or to B, we come to the clay and the sissilate materials and organic matter that's principled as the origin of Adam, because we understand that Adam was made from the clay of the earth. Okay, and therefore pertaining to the principles of Adama, what Adama means is clay man or red man from the earth. You understand what I'm saying? So that brings us right here, this particular principle here, because it says that the crabs were what? Red crabs. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, when we come here to the vision and we look at the principles based upon where it is coming from, based upon this trek, that the red crabs is picking up principles of Adam. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, that's what we wanted to do, because it says red crabs. You understand? Now it says that the crabs are coming from the forest to the coast. You understand what I'm saying? See? And it says that they are taking a migration. You understand? And it says that based upon their migration, it says that they are going from the forest to the coast to spawn. Okay? That's what their migration is all about. All right? So what we do is that when we come here to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, all right? And we come here. Boy, I just be thinking these things are so beautiful, man. I just be elated when I be hearing this stuff and I be looking at it, and y'all would be showing me these things, man. I'd be like, wow. You know, I'd be like, Father, I'd be like, I don't think that everybody is looking at these things like this. You know, he says, well, he says, I'm showing them to you, so you show them how I'm showing them to you, so everybody can see see how you see it, how I'm showing it to you. So now here we come here to the chart, and we just shared with you that pertaining to the red crabs, you understand how it was tens of millions of them. You understand? And it says how that they migration, how they are going from the forest to the coast so that they can go spawn. Now here we're seeing how the man Adam is being kicked up out of the garden, and he is a red man, okay? And so therefore the principle is red man coming up out of the garden. So now we understand that the garden is likened into a forest because the garden has a whole bunch of trees. You understand what I'm saying? And it says that the crabs is leaving the forest and coming down here to the coast. Now we see water down here. You understand what I'm saying? See? We see water down here where Adam is doing what? To where he understands that from the sweat of his brow, how he has to till the ground. You understand what I'm saying? But yet we see water down here. But here is the road that he is coming down, okay? Because he is coming up out of the forest and coming down here to the coast, just like how I was saying within this particular ecology. You understand? Can you see those principles?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we look up the definition for spawn, it says that it is a derogatory of a person. Okay, now this is what spawn means. Derogatory. Now, derogatory means something that's wrong, okay? There's something that's bad, all right? Or a person is going about this particular principle wrong, all right? But it says it's a derogatory, it says a person producing a large mass of offspring. Did you hear that? That's what spawn means. Now, that is the last and second definition of spawn, okay? Because the first definition means that a crustacean, a fish, or anything that's within the biological kings, you understand what I'm saying, is going somewhere to lay eggs, you understand what I'm saying, for their particular offspring. That's what it means, okay? To go spawn. So it means that a frog, a fish, a crustacean, or a malak will go, you understand what I'm saying, and lay their eggs, you know what I'm saying, somewhere for their particular offspring, all right? So when it comes all the way down to the last definition pertaining to spawn, it says that it's a derogatory, all right, meaning that it is a wrong principle, but it is a derogatory aspect of a person, you understand what I'm saying, bringing about a whole lot of children. So therefore, we see how Adam is coming down from this particular road. You understand what I'm saying? And the son is coming down with him. You understand? And so therefore, he is coming up out of the Garden of Eden, which is likened unto that forest. So when he comes down here to the coast, you understand what I'm saying? We understand that the man and woman, when they was up here, that they was in a heavenly state. So they could not come together up here to be able to bring forth offspring. So therefore, after the transgression happened, when they came up out of the garden and when they're down here, that they're able to do what? Have offspring. In other words, that they can come down here and spawn, just like how the crabs did. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what they did. Now, the reason why it says that it is a derogatory of a person that is having a massive, a person who have had a massive or a large production of kids, we come to Adam because Adam was what? The first man. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, what we do is to be able to prove these particular principles, I need you, Doc, to go over there and get for me Genesis, the 5th chapter. Because we understand that pertaining to the man Adam, that there was nobody here upon the face of the earth besides him and his wife, okay, to be able to produce offspring. And so therefore, Adam had a whole lot of offspring, because when we pick it up here within the scriptures, we're going to see what it is talking about a person spawning and being a derogatory or a person that is manifesting principles of having a massive or a large production of children. Read.
Genesis chapter 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam.
Oh, so this is the book of the generations of Adam. So therefore, what happens is that when we come here to the divine vision that's being revealed, okay? And when we come here to Adam, it says that these are the generations of Adam, okay? So therefore, what happens is that it brings us right here. When we come here to the first Adam, And what we're going to do is that this is going to show and reveal to you principles of what it's talking about, because when it's talking about the generations of Adam, we must come down here to Adam's loins, okay? Because this is showing principles of his seed. You understand what I'm saying? And how he is going to manifest his children within the physical creation. So when we come here and we look at the loins of the man, because this is the operation of our Yahweh Elohim has the man open to look within the man, to see what's in the man, to make sure that everything was within its proper place. We see how he has the spirit of Yahweh Elohim pertaining to his heart. And then when we're looking at the seed, you understand what I'm saying? How it's manifesting the principles of the spirit, to where we can see how here within the woman's stomach, that when it's based upon the twins, based upon them coming together, bringing forth offspring, because they couldn't do it in the most holy place. They had to come all the way down to the court roundabout. They had to come down that long road. You understand what I'm saying? From the forest, okay? Because remember, the man and woman did what? They hid themselves amongst the trees when they heard what? The voice of Elohim walking within the garden. You understand what I'm saying? So since they hid themselves within the trees, that after Yahweh Elohim had told them that they had to come up out of there. You understand what I'm saying? So now they're coming down. So now they're coming from a heavenly state to a physical state, to where now it says within the scriptures that Adam knew his wife. You understand what I'm saying? To where before, when it was within the most holy place, the man didn't know his wife. You understand what I'm saying? Because it was both within a spiritual state. So now that they're within a physical state, they come down, okay? And this is after the transgression, because here we see how Adam has fig leaves around his loins, just like how the woman, you know what I'm saying? When you're looking at this man here and you're looking at the green here, that this is a manifestation of the fig leaves around her particular loins. But at the same time, what we're looking at is that after the man had knew his wife, okay, that this is showing forth the principles of, when you see this dot right here, all right, that this is a manifestation of the book of Elohim, all right? This is the reason why you have Elohim's hands coming down here, because when you're looking at this particular location, revealing the things that's within his loins, it is manifesting the book of Elohim as well as the generations of Adam. You understand what I'm saying? So here, when you see spirit, that this is a manifestation of Abel. When you see this dot right here, because he told Moses that he who sins against me, him will I blot out of my book. Okay, so this blot here is like an unto Cain, because these are the first two children from the man Adam, when it says that he had knew his wife. So therefore, this is showing you how that this is Cain, and then this is Abel, all right? And so therefore, these are the two children that are within her womb at this particular time that's getting ready to be manifested upon the earth plane. You understand what I'm saying? So when it is talking about how the man is spawning, you understand what I'm saying? We're picking up these principles right here. Continue to read, Doc.
In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him.
So he made man within his image, within his likeness, within the day. Okay. Now he told the man that in the day that you partake of the tree of the knowledge of good and of evil, in the day that you partake, you will die. You understand what I'm saying? Now we have to understand the principles of what Yahweh Elohim talked about, that in the day that you partake of the tree, that ye shall surely die. Now we understand that 1,000 years is a day unto Yahweh, and in a day is 1,000 years unto Yahweh. Now, Adam lived 930 years before he died, because Adam died within the day, you understand what I'm saying, of Yahweh Elohim, which is 1,000 years, and he died 70 years short of a day. You understand what I'm saying? So the man died in the day, okay? So this is why that when you hear right here within the scriptures how it says in the day, you understand what I'm saying, that Yahweh Elohim had the man here, or we're hearing about within the day of him bearing his offspring, that is what it is talking about, because we understand that pertaining to the creation, that this is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years pertaining to the creation, and then Yahweh Elohim had rested from all his work. But we have to understand that that was 7,000 years of time. Okay, but that was right only within the creative age. Okay, so if it was 7,000 years, okay, within the creative age, this is the reason why that pertaining to the ages and dispensations, you understand what I'm saying, that we have 7 ages, 7 dispensations. You understand what I'm saying, but within the time frame, you know what I mean, of what Yahweh Elohim chose for an age to be, and what he chose for a dispensation to be. But we have to understand his timetable pertaining to when he says that it is a day to him, it is a watch to him, or it's an hour to him. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be obedient to what thus saith Yahweh to be able to understand what he says and what he means pertaining to the scriptures. Okay? Read.
In the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam.
Now you hear that he called their name Adam. That was my correction pertaining to when I was talking about my rib, all right? So therefore, when I came back to correct myself, okay, when I said that Yahweh Elohim didn't name the woman, I told you that I was in error, and there is your proof right there. He said he called man and woman and called their name Adam, okay? Now I'm doing that is because everybody can make a mistake. And I told you that Yahweh Elohim will make you say something just to see if the viewers are listening, you understand what I'm saying, to allow the man of Yahweh to come back and rectify himself, or to see if anybody can catch it, to come back and say, hey, you made a mistake. You understand what I'm saying? But a true son, if he make a mistake, he's going to come back and reiterate it and point out his mistake and say, I was wrong. I made a mistake. But as I always say, the vision don't lie. The scriptures don't lie. I said, but man can always make a mistake, but the vision don't, because the vision corrects the scriptures. All right, continue to read, Doc.
Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created.
Read.
And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth.
Read.
And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
Did you hear that? So therefore it says that after he had begot a child in his image and his likeness, which was Seth, that he lived 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. Now, to live 800 years and to begot, first of all, if you live 800 years, you understand what I'm saying? And it says that you begot sons and daughters, you lived a long time. And if you live that long, you're going to have a lot of kids. You understand what I'm saying? Especially if it's just you and that one woman. You understand what I'm saying? And you guys are already within the process of having kids. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, that's the proof that we wanted to pick up right there pertaining to the principles of an individual spawning, which was a derogatory, you know what I'm saying, based upon a person having a large mass production of kids. You understand what I'm saying? So we wanted to go within the scriptures and show you that. Okay. Now it says that they were red crabs. We come here and show you how that we have the fire within Adam's chest cavities to where it's red here, to where it says, let there be light. And we understand that Adam was a red man that was created from the clay. You understand what I'm saying? And it says it was tens of thousands of red crabs that was going to spawn. Okay. So therefore, based upon it being tens of thousands of them, and we understand that 10 is a representation of the law. Okay. That we understand that the man had to do what? Break the law before that he could do what? Bear offspring. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, this is the reason why that it had to be tens of thousands of red crabs to be going to go spawn that covered roads and bridges. You understand what I'm saying? Because we understand that based upon the road that the man and the woman had to come down when they came up out of the garden, that we pick up the scriptures of how it says, broad is the road to destruction. You understand what I'm saying? But narrow is the path of life. And when they were coming down out of the garden, you understand what I'm saying? That from that narrow road that they was coming down, how it got real broad. You understand what I'm saying? And showed how broad it got because it picked up the principles of how broad was a road to destruction. You understand what I'm saying? And they had to come up out of that particular garden. But it says narrow, you understand what I'm saying, is the road to righteousness. You understand? So therefore, since they had to come down, and we call this our degenerative play, it's because they had to come down to be able to fulfill what Yahweh Elohim said. Be fruitful and replenish the earth. So therefore, they had to come down from a heavenly state to come down to a physical state to fulfill the commandment of Yahweh Elohim had told the man and the woman to be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. So now we see how, based upon them coming up out of the forest to the coastline, you understand what I'm saying, how they spawn to be obedient to what thus saith Yahweh, to be fruitful and multiply. And so therefore we see how the man and the woman had sons and daughters, and then it says how Adam died at 930 years old, but they had sons and daughters. And therefore, based upon that, when we see the perpetuation of kids bearing kids, how back in those days that the children or the offspring of Adam had a lot of kids at that particular time. You understand what I'm saying? Because they were being obedient to what Yahweh Elohim said, to be fruitful and multiply. Okay, so this was how that the whole entire earth populated itself right within the beginning. You understand what I'm saying? And based upon how this particular principle happened, you see how everybody was related. You understand what I'm saying? Because they only had one progenitor at this particular time, which was Adam and Eve. You understand? So therefore, we see how everybody that came from Adam and Eve, they were related. So therefore, when we see the principles pertaining to how the children of Israel had to stay within their respective tribes and marry only within their respective tribes, was to pick up the same principles of what happened with the man and the woman in the beginning, of how that they were all related there pertaining to the first world. And so therefore, to keep their inheritance and to keep their blood royal, you understand what I'm saying? Yahweh Elohim had them to only marry within their tribes, okay? So that their inheritance and the bloodline would stay right and royal, based upon when Yahweh Elohim had gave them their inheritance once they reached Canaan land or came right back up here. You understand what I'm saying? Pertaining to the principles of the Garden of Eden. You understand? So this is how those things manifest. So when we look at that and we come all the way through, that we can see how that the man, based upon how he had to break the law, okay, so that he can be able to create offspring. And that was the principle of it having to be 10,000s or 10,000s of millions or 10 millions of red crabs. You understand what I'm saying? Because it was millions of them, okay? And so therefore, when you look at how it was 10 millions of crab, that you have to understand that it is 10 millions of individuals upon the earth plane, based upon the coming together of Adam and Eve. You understand what I'm saying? And from them, look how many individuals that we have upon the face of the earth, okay? So this is how you can see that this particular ecology, about the tens of millions of crabs, is a representation of us, but going all the way back to the principles of Adam and his migration coming up out of the garden. Because people say, well, Adam didn't go through a migration. Yes, he did, because he had to leave the most holy place and come to the court roundabout. Just like how the children of Israel had to start within the court roundabout and go to the most holy place, even though that their place of origin, that they started within the most holy place, they came down, stayed here for a principle of 4, okay, or 430 years, based upon a nation who they know not of. And then after the 430 years, that they came right back up here to be able to receive their inheritance, based upon what Yahweh Elohim had given unto Father Abraham right up here. You understand what I'm saying? So to show you how they made a round trip, to show you, like I showed you before, that it was a 490-year cycle. You understand? And these particular principles had to continue to perpetuate over and over and over and over again. You understand? Those were the principles pertaining to the 490-year cycle that I missed in the first ecology. You understand? Because I was supposed to go pick up the 490-year cycles of Abraham. You understand what I'm saying? Because there were 4 to lead us up to the Messiah, and then there were 4 more 490-year cycles, which showed us how that when we got here to the 5th and 6th dispensation, that when we come here, and see, this was the purpose, the reason why I had to move my cat thing, okay, was because when we came back here, based upon when we was looking at the principles of what we said about the 3.8, all right? The 3.8 had brought us right back here, all right? 3 and 5 is 8, so it brought us right over here pertaining to, like I said, the spiritual kingdom on earth of Yahshua the Messiah. And then when we picked up the principle of 2.6, it picked up the promise of Noah, the promise of Abraham, and it brought us over here to the 5th and the 6th principle, all right? So what happens is that when we get over here to the spiritual assembly or body of Yahshua the Messiah, or the spiritual kingdom on earth, that is showing you here that we're picking up a principle of the 490-year cycles, like I was sitting up telling you. Because when we picked up Father Abraham, you understand what I'm saying, pertaining to the 490-year cycles, that this was the beginning of the 490-year cycles, to bring us all the way up into the time that there were four, to give us the time up into the law. You understand what I'm saying? To show you how that this 490-year cycle, four of them, that those were principles of us coming up to the law and up into the time of Yahshua the Messiah. And then the other ones is picking up the 490-year cycles to show you how that the end of the age was 1960. Now, this was the time of when our founder had came in, and he had his vision in the year of 1931. This was 29 years before the end of the age. He said that we had a probationary period of 8 years. Okay, I read the lecture in class that the probationary period was not 40 years like everybody within the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research preached. You understand what I'm saying? But the probationary period was only 8 years. You understand what I'm saying? So in 1968, you understand what I'm saying, was the end of the probationary period. You understand? And so therefore time had proceeded and went on. So in actuality, you wasn't supposed to start the 40 years at 1960. You understand what I'm saying? To where it has stopped at the year 2000. You understand? What you were supposed to do was count the 40 years after 1968. You understand what I'm saying? To where the probationary period wasn't over until 2008, okay? Which was 2 years, you understand what I'm saying, before I had the second vision and revelation. And in actuality, it was, what is that? 6 years after I had the first divine vision and revelation in the year of 2002. You understand? So when we look at these particular things, man, you know what I'm saying, we're seeing how the children of Israel, which I'm talking about, the individuals within the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research, is off time. You understand what I'm saying? They are off time because they're not listening to what thus saith Yahweh pertaining to the principles that he has given us and according to time. You understand what I'm saying? To where everybody within the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research is off 8 years. You understand what I'm saying? If they are counting a 40-year probationary period. And you can't go over the principle of 40 years, because if you do, then you're not keeping the timeline like how Yahweh Elohim had kept it with the children of Israel. You understand what I'm saying? Because after 40 years, it has to be a change. You understand what I'm saying? Either you're going to do what? Either you're going to be ascending or you're going to be descending. You understand? So therefore, this is the reason why that after 1960, Dr. Kinley was sitting up preaching about immortality in a new earth state. I got lectures with Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley and Dr. Garagosa preaching that they are over here in the fifth age and in the seventh dispensation, and preaching how that they are in a new earth state, and preaching how Yahshua had brought in life and immortality, and how they got immortality manifesting within the physical body. You understand what I'm saying? Right over here. Now I got lectures to prove that. You understand? And one thing about it is that I have always got flack over the period and times of years that I was preaching within class. You understand? Talking about that we were over here. And I always said that I was over here within the fifth dispensation in the kingdom age. You understand what I'm saying? In the seventh dispensation, and that I was in the new earth state. You understand what I'm saying? But everybody was like, no, you can't be over there because we're right here on this line waiting to go over here. But I'm saying that how can you say that we're on this line? You understand what I'm saying? So if Yahshua the Messiah had fulfilled all the principles pertaining to the threefold intangible tabernacle pattern, and we say that we got what? 7 steps. Right? So therefore, if he rent the veil of the flesh, and the veil of the flesh is the 6th step or the 6th principle, you understand what I'm saying? You can't put a veil back up here. Talking about that we're waiting right here, you know what I'm saying, to go over here. There is no veil here because the veil went in twain. to allow the
Yeah.
most holy place and the holy place to be one compartment. So therefore,
Yeah.
if I'm here in the holy place, I can look right up here into the most holy place. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm looking into spiritual things, but I'm within the physical body. You understand what I'm saying? And see, those
Yeah.
are the principles, are the things that we learn within school. But the whole Institute of the Divine Metaphysical Research, man, every minister, I don't give a damn what class that they're in, they preach talking about that we're right here at the edge of this line, and we're waiting to go over here into the Sabbath day. And they don't understand the principles. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when I look at the divine vision and revelation, you understand, we have went over many times and shared with our viewers this principle right here pertaining to the Sabbath. Haven't
Well,
we?
Yahshua said, make them one as you and I are one. So
Right.
that's how the veil was written twain.
That's
Because he
right.
made that compartment one, just like him and Yahweh are one.
That's right. And they fail to understand this principle right here. All right. And this is the Sabbath right here. Now, Yahweh Elohim said that he rested from all his work that he have done. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the Sabbath right here. All right. But see, they don't understand the principle of the Sabbath. I said that this is Yahweh Elohim in his creation. The creation is the woman, and that's his son. So this is the man, woman, and son manifesting right here. You understand what I'm saying? And he said that I, Yahweh Elohim, I, Yahweh is a unity. You understand what I'm saying? So this is he's showing how he is one with the whole entire creation, how he is one. And so therefore, when you look at this right here, okay, and I like to come here, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna come here to this particular part of the chart, you know, and I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna show you this. Now, right here, when we come back over to the days of creation, and we see how, see, and this is what everybody failed to realize. You see right here, it says plate number 11.
Mm-hmm.
It says 6th day of creation, right?
Yeah.
Now here, from the 6th day of creation, after Yahweh Elohim created the man, he said to breathe the breath of life into the man. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Man became a living soul. Then he divided soul and body, okay? And then up here, he divided spirit and soul. You understand what I'm saying? Right here. Because this is an ascension play. I shared with you here how this, when he created the man, how man was king of kings, okay? Because we got the king of beasts there. Here I showed you how this was a manifestation of how Yahweh Elohim had manifested Elohim and the attributes, okay, of power, strength, and foundation, okay? Manifesting right here. Remember that?
Yeah.
As well, that this is a manifestation of Elohim within the creative stage. Why? Because we got a E for elephant, right?
Mm-hmm.
The L for lion, right?
Yeah.
The O for the ontological kings, because that's a bird, right? That's ontological, right? So we got ELO. Instead of calling it a bird, it's an ontological. It's an ontological being, all right? And then him.
Yeah.
So that's ELO him. You understand what I'm saying? Elohim here, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Elephant, lion, ornithological being, and him, all right? That's Elohim, all right? And so therefore we come up here, we showed you what was the tree of life, and this is to show you how that the man was a lamb and he was the roaring lion of the tribe of Judah, based upon what we have over there in Revelation 5, based upon what John was seeing, okay? So therefore we see what the tree of life was, and then we see how that we have a lamb with eyes all on it that was slain, you understand what I'm saying, which was the roaring lion of the tribe of Judah that is manifesting right up here on plate number 6. Can you see that? All right? So that's all those principles right there, okay? So now when we come here, how come from the 6th day of creation, and we look right up here, Doc, how come you don't see the Sabbath?
Yeah, I don't see it.
Right. Why?
I don't know why. I don't know.
Because what you have to understand that if this is the 6th day of creation, right here, when we come right here, doesn't it say John immersion in Yahshua? What does it say?
Can't see it too well.
Let's show what we're talking about. And this is where everybody It says woman emerged in Yahshua. This is why everybody missed the Sabbath day. Okay. Now, when we come here and we're showing you how, it says we got the woman emerged in Yahshua. That's her right there. Okay. The woman clothed in the sun. But the reason why that you don't understand or you don't see the Sabbath day is because here, when it says spiritual immersion, it is the spirit of Elohim entering into the man, resting in the man, and that is his Sabbath, the spirit resting inside of the man. That's why when you look up at the top, you understand what I'm saying? You don't see Sabbath at the top. You just see division between male and female. Okay. See, this is how people don't understand the purpose. Okay. So we got the spiritual immersion. You got the spirit entering into the man, and that's the rest. You understand?
Okay.
Now see, hold on. Let me prove it to you. I got to prove all things. Hold on. Now look. Sixth day of creation, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now watch this. I'll show it to you again so you can understand it and see it. See it now? Now you see how the spirit is entering into the man?
Yeah.
Spirit enters into the man, and then when we get here, Sabbath. You understand what I'm saying? Now you can understand how the spirit entered into the man and Yahweh Elohim rested from his work because the spirit is inside of the man, resting. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But see, no, but hold on, it's more to it than that.
Okay.
Now, if the spirit of Yahweh Elohim entered into the man because it was a spiritual immersion, you understand what I'm saying? This is him when he says, I am come down. This is him coming down. Yeah. When did he appear again? He had to be born through 63 generations before he came out. You understand what I'm saying? So he came and landed inside of the man, and that was his Sabbath, and he did not get up until 63 generations later as Yahshua the Messiah. You understand?
And 6 plus 3 is 9. And that's how long a child is inside a woman's body for 9 months.
That's correct, Doc. So now you can understand too. That's why he said that I am come down, and therefore you sons of Jacob are not consumed. You understand what I'm saying? I am come down. So this is how he came down, and this is to show you the Sabbath of how he rested. You understand what I'm saying? Now, don't nobody preach that. Don't nobody go over these particular principles and show you how Yahweh Elohim rested. And that's a spiritual immersion. And so therefore, if this is the spiritual immersion to show you how he rested here, that is how that you could understand the principles of how that his spirit had to do what? Be poured out again. You understand? Within what? The hearts and minds of man. Hold on a second. Let me do this. That's why we have to come here so that you could understand that the same principle had to manifest again. Okay? Now, what did he do? The same thing again. He let his spirit do what? He poured out his spirit upon all flesh. You understand what I'm saying? See? And where's his spirit doing? Resting and abiding within the hearts and minds of man. You understand what I'm saying? The same thing happened here that happened within the beginning. You understand what I'm saying? Same thing. See? And so therefore you understand how that the kingdom of Yahshua is spiritual sacrifice, or the law of the spirit manifesting where? It is written in your heart and in your mind. Why? Because when Yahweh Elohim rested on his Sabbath, he rested within the man. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why the scripture says that the man was not in the transgression, but the woman. You understand?
Yeah.
Yahweh Elohim couldn't sin. Okay, but you have to understand the principles of what happened with the man. He willingly died for his bride, just like how Yahshua willingly died for us. You understand what I'm saying? See? Because he had to take away what he knew that we could not, you know what I'm saying, accomplish. That's the reason why that if Yahshua came down, okay, and he instituted the law with Moses, that he had to come do what? Do this to fulfill it. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, if he instituted it with Moses, and then he came to fulfill it, you understand what I'm saying, on his own, that was because that he knew that none of us could do it in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? And it goes back to what's said over there in Numbers, the 30th chapter, that if the father hear the child make a vow that the child cannot fulfill, then it is upon the father to take the obligation and that vow up off of the child. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, that's the same principles of what happened here, because Yahshua instituted the laws here, instituted them unto Moses by giving them to him here when he came up to transfigure before them, and here he instituted them, and so therefore he came in to fulfill them. You understand what I'm saying? It was only one who could do it. You understand? See?
Wow.
So therefore, this is how we understand these particular things pertaining to the purpose of Yahweh Elohim. This is how come we understand that this is the schoolmaster to lead us unto the Messiah. And after we come from the schoolmaster, that we understand how we are within his kingdom because he fulfilled everything. You understand? See?
Mm-hmm.
And see, one thing that everybody don't understand is this, you know? Man, and I think this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at this though, Doc. Everybody, and a lot of people don't preach this too because they don't understand it. I'm gonna show you the principle. Yahshua was what? Born and died under the law, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now everybody don't preach that Yahshua was over here within the fifth dispensation. Don't nobody preach that.
No.
Because see, when he died on the cross, that was the end of the post-diluvian age. You understand what I'm saying? Now the present kingdom age was when he resurrected from the grave, and when he went to his disciples, and over 500 seen him alive at one time. Now when he went over there and told Doubting Thomas says, I don't believe that Yahshua resurrected from the grave. Now Peter and James and John and all of them says, man, we done seen the master. You understand?
Yeah.
Thomas says, no, till I put my hand in the side, put my fingers in the holes of his hands, I will not believe. Okay? Now Yahshua appeared. Now, if Yahshua was born and died under the law, you understand what I'm saying, and he fulfilled the law, that was the end of this third age. You understand what I'm saying? In the fourth dispensation, Yahshua walked over here, okay, as a spiritual being. You understand? A man without flesh and blood, because he resurrected a quickening spirit. You understand?
Yeah.
See? Now all we got to do is to show you what I'm talking about. It's come right up here. Come right here. Now ain't this Yahshua under the law?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just like how we see it on the 18th dispensation chart, right? Right here, right? That's him there. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what we got to do is we got to come on this side, because why? We got to bury him over here. Okay.
Yeah.
So we bury him on Saturday. There was a new tomb. Then he resurrected. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now he resurrected over here, and there was an earthquake. Why? It had to be an earthquake on this side. Why? Because it was an earthquake on this side. You understand?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just trying to show it to y'all. I'm doing a lousy job, but I got to show it to you like this. All right. Now the reason why it was an earthquake here, because he ended this. He ended the post-diluvian age, and there was an earthquake over here because of the present kingdom age when he resurrected. So it was an earthquake over here and an earthquake over here, showing you two different worlds, two different ages. You understand what I'm saying? And the earthquake was a determination of an ending and a beginning of an age. Just like I told you that it was going to be an earthquake, and it was an earthquake because it was a ending and a beginning of an age.
Mm-hmm.
People don't hear that. People don't believe that. That's why when I told everybody that was going to be an earthquake, you understand what I'm saying? I told you that was the beginning of the new age. This age here, the seventh age in dispensation. Now, if it started in 1960, in 1968, and then we got the probationary period, then we got all that time to determine in the probationary period that it happened. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, from the probationary period all the way up until now, you understand what I'm saying, has been what? External time. You understand what I'm saying? But yet and still that time that we had, you know what I'm saying, was time of grace after the 40 years. You understand what I'm saying? To determine where we was going to be at right now. Okay? And so therefore, based upon the earthquake that Yahweh Elohim had me prophesied, was to let everyone know that was what? A ending and a new age coming into. You understand what I'm saying? Now, we have always been over here since 1968. You understand what I'm saying? See? So we have to understand that the founder was in one world and came all the way over into the next world because he lived 15 years. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Over here, he had to live 15 years after the fact because he preached for 15 years in the church of God. You understand what I'm saying? In Christ for 15 years. So this is the reason why that he had manifested within the kingdom age. You understand what I'm saying? For 15 years before he died. You understand what I'm saying? And people don't understand that. You understand? But see, it's fine. But see, what we have to do is go over the whole entire purpose based upon what happened to the children of Israel and have it manifest with us. You understand? And if we can't see these principles, then we can't see how Yahweh Elohim manifested through Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley have fulfilled these things pertaining to the ages and dispensation. You understand?
Yeah.
This is the reason why that he kept telling these damn fools that I'm not your savior. Because Dr. Kinley came in and had his vision in the same age that Yahshua was in when he got up off the cross. You understand what I'm saying? So it was an impossibility for Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley to be your savior. You understand what I'm saying? Because he manifested within the same age. You understand what I'm saying? That Yahshua had manifested in when he was in super incorporeal form, because he wasn't in a physical body, and Yahshua had resurrected over here. And here's the proof right here. Okay? Because here's the cross. Here's the cross here. Yahshua resurrected on this side over here, right here within the fourth age, within the fifth dispensation, right here. And that's how it's a spiritual age. Why? Because it takes us right here within the holy place. Yahshua says, stand in the holy place. Now, Yahshua told you to stand there because he's in the holy place when he resurrected. You understand?
Well, I think like when Henry Clifford Kinley was preaching Lord God Jesus Christ when he was in church, that referred to the flesh. But then when he had his vision and revelation, he said he wasn't going to see the same things again, which is like flesh, like the end of that age of the flesh, and now it's in the spiritual age.
Well, it's like this.
I chopped that up.
You got
make a long story.
I know what you was trying to say, but we got to say it like what he said. He said that the flesh was never in to go out. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So therefore, once we was over here, like he said, flesh was never in to go out because all the flesh and physical was over here. You understand?
Yeah.
So we was always over here within the spiritual age. Okay. Now Now, based upon my explanation, I didn't do an adjusted job, but at the same time, what I said was true in fact. You understand? See? Now Yahshua had resurrected. You understand what I'm saying? Over here. See? Yahshua resurrected over here in the spiritual age. You understand what I'm saying? And he walked around over here on the other side of the cross. And he did not walk over here as a physical man. He did not walk over here as a physical man. He walked over here as a quickening spirit. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he stayed over here for how long?
40 days.
Correct. It was 50 days. And then he ascended on high.
Days, yeah. 50 days. Okay.
50 days and he ascended on high. Why 50 days? Because remember, it was 50 days journey. It was 53 days to and through the divided waters of the Red Sea, but it was a 50-day journey to the mountain. Okay? So therefore, he had to remain 50 days because that was like unto Pentecost. He told his disciples, wait for you to receive the Spirit from on high. When the Spirit came from on high, you understand what I'm saying? That was the day of Pentecost. You understand what I'm saying? So Yahshua had to manifest over here for 40 days. You understand what I'm saying? Plus the 10 days to fulfill the principle of Pentecost. And after he stayed over here for the 40 days plus the 10, you understand what I'm saying? That Pentecost came unto the Jews first. You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
See? And so therefore that was like him what? Pouring out his spirit upon all flesh. Because what did he do? He ascended. And once he ascended, he told them, I'm not going to leave you comfortless. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why once he ascended, you got to understand. See, they all see him right here. Where are we at? We're in the beginning of the fourth age in the fifth dispensation, and over 500 brethren seen him at one time. You understand what I'm saying? That's why you got John over there in the book of Revelation saying, man, I'm your brother over here, you know what I'm saying, in the Sabbath. I'm in the Sabbath day. Why is he in the Sabbath day? You understand what I'm saying? He's in the age of immortality. How can he be in the Sabbath day here having a vision and revelation? You understand what I'm saying? If he was not within the realm of eternity. You understand what I'm saying? And see, this is how everybody has it wrong. Okay? And I be listening to the ministers, I be hearing how they preach, and they all wrong. But when you try to sit up and show them this, when you try to take them over the ramifications, you know, and they don't understand it, what they do is they want to tell you you're wrong, tear down your testimony, and what they do is wind up proving your testimony more so than they tear it down when they go within the scriptures. You understand what I'm saying? And then when they see that they did that, then they shut up. You understand what I'm saying? And they just say, well, you know what, it's just, you know, but as I say, here's Yahshua resurrecting a quickening spirit. Now, as soon as he resurrected and he went up, okay, 10 days later, he poured out his spirit within the hearts and minds of man. You understand what I'm saying? See? He poured out his spirit right back on them. You understand what I'm saying? Just like how the repeat of what happened when the children of Israel was within the wilderness of Sinai and Yahweh Elohim had rained down manna. You understand what I'm saying? See, same principle, okay? It got to do what? Come back down, okay? There got to be a going up and a coming down. Why? Because it got to manifest the principle of a round trip. You understand? See? So, based upon that, you know what I mean? Within those particular principles, you know, the only thing that I don't think that I grabbed on was the principle of Christmas Island. You understand? Now we understand the principles of Christmas Island, don't we? See? Yeah. So therefore, when we talk about Christmas Island, now that is beautiful, ain't it? Who was born at Christmas time?
Huh?
Who was born at Christmas time?
Jesus.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, wait. No, John.
Thank you. Shit.
Right.
Oops, I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that. Please excuse me. I really apologize. I just be so juiced about this gospel. I really apologize. That was not appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Me using colloquialism. I apologize to my viewers. You know, I really do. Okay. But I was trying to say that because we understand that John, okay, the Baptist was born on Christmas time. All right. And we're on Christmas Island. You understand what I'm saying? Yahshua was born in June. Okay.
In June, yes.
Right. He was born June 6th. You understand what I'm saying? He was born on the third month. Okay. On the third day. You understand what I'm saying? See, now everybody say June is the 6th month. According to what calendar?
No, April's the first month.
Thank you. So that's why
June the third month.
That's right. That's what I said. He was born the third month. You understand what I'm saying? The 6th day. Okay. Look at your principle again in reverse 63. You understand? But if you're going according to the Gregorian calendar, it was the 6th month, the 6th day. You understand?
Yeah.
The 9th hour. All right. So now when we go here and it's talking about Christmas Island, that brings us right back here. John was put where on the Isle of Patmos, right? You understand what I'm saying? But now we're talking about John the Baptist. You understand what I'm saying? Who was Yahshua's cousin. We got to come right down here. And it's talking about how do we on Christmas Island. You understand what I'm saying? And see, we go see these particular principles to where we know that John the Baptist was Yahshua's cousin. And he was what? On Christmas Island where all these particular crafts was. You understand what I'm saying? So when it's going back to the principles of John the Baptist was manifesting principles of Moses, okay? Being up under the law, okay? You understand what I'm saying? Taking you back to the law. When we come to the divine vision revelation of our founder, when you picking up John the Baptist right here, you're coming right back here. And John the Baptist was what? Beheaded. You understand what I'm saying? And so we're talking about his island, all right? So therefore, when we right here on the mountain of transfiguration, and we got Moses and John the Baptist and Elijah, you know what I'm saying, right here, all right? And we're on the mountain of transfiguration. That these are Yahweh Elohim's 2 faithful witnesses, okay? And so therefore, when it is talking about Christmas Island, and we understand that John the Baptist was the one who was born on Christmas, you understand what I'm saying? And it's talking about an island, okay? And it says that on this particular island, that this island of Christmas pertaining to the principles of John the Baptist, we understand that John the Baptist was Yahshua's cousin, okay? Or Jesus' cousin, okay? And so therefore, we're looking at him on this island, and then we're looking at a migration. You understand what I'm saying? Pertaining to the principles with John the Baptist. Now, when we look at these particular principles, that we understand that what happened with Elijah or John the Baptist right out here, okay, and we understand how he had migrated all the way throughout Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? Going back to and fro. You understand what I'm saying? And when it comes right here, when Elijah or John the Baptist, you understand what I'm saying, which was Elijah, had hit this particular water, it says that he had smoked the waters, and what happened? They heaved up like a tunnel, like effect, and he walked through on dry land. You understand what I'm saying? Now, we're not looking at all the principles based upon these particular things on what this is saying. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Elijah went back and forth, and then Elijah, he had went up to Yahweh in a whirlwind of fire. You understand what I'm saying? And they looked for him for 3 days, couldn't find him. You understand what I'm saying? See? And so therefore, what happened that the sons are the prophets that the prophets that was right up here, they had went through a migration for 3 days. You understand what I'm saying? Looking for Elijah. You understand what I'm saying? Because they thought Yahweh might have dropped him on one of them hills. You understand what I'm saying? And Elisha told him, no, he didn't. You understand what I'm saying? But I didn't want to be embarrassed. So that's the reason why did I let you guys go do what you do. You understand what I'm saying? So we got all these particular principles, man, going all the way through the book, man, from beginning to end and picking up all these particular principles, man. You know what I'm saying? Yahweh Elohim is tight and he is revealing his purpose, man. And he is having one of his ministers go through his whole entire purpose based upon these particular things within this particular ecology. Now, I'm knowing that our viewers are saying, how in the heck did this man get all of that out of what he just read? You understand what I'm saying? But yet and still, if they're listening, they can see how I'm grabbing the principles and I'm running them all the way through from beginning to end so that the ecologies will make more sense spiritually and psychologically so than they do physically. You understand what I'm saying? And natural. Okay? Because we're trying to reveal to you that everything physical and natural has a spiritual counterpart to it. And so therefore, we're picking up the spiritual counterpart, which is leading us to our creator, which is Yahshua the Messiah. Okay? Because this is his story and we are within his kingdom. You understand? Mm-hmm. All right. So now that concludes our second ecology. So now let's go to our third and final ecology. It's kind of lengthy, but at the same time, you know, it's like that sometimes. Sometimes we have many and they be short and we end short, and sometimes we have a few and they be lengthy, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is Yahshua's show. We are here to prove the existence of Yahshua the Messiah or Elohim. So therefore, we're not on class time. We're on Yahshua's time. We're trying to praise and show you who Yahshua the Messiah is and how all these things lead and point to him, okay? Mm-hmm. Now here is take us on our third ecology. It takes us to British Columbia. It says a Vancouver storm, a state of emergency has been declared in British Columbia. Yeah. The state of emergency has been declared in Canada, Western Province of British Columbia after a major storm cut roads, rail links in the region. The Canadian Armed Forces are being deployed to help thousands of stranded residents who have been trapped since the storm hit overnight on Sunday. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pledged assistance during a visit to Washington, D.C., and said troops could help rebuild. One woman was killed in a landslide and 2 people are missing. Thousands remain evacuated after an atmospheric river, a strip of moisture in the air that transport water from tropical areas toward the poles, dumped the region's monthly rainfall average in 24 hours. Officials in the region have attributed the natural disaster to the effects of climate change. The impact of climate change on the frequency of storms is still unclear, but we know the increased sea surface temperatures warm the air above and makes more energy available to drive hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons as a result. They are likely to be more intense with more extreme rainfall. The world has already warmed about 1.2 Celsius since the industrial era began. The temperatures will keep rising unless governments around the world makes deep cuts to emissions. British Columbia's Premier John Horgan said that emergency orders took effect at 12 local time. In a news conference on Wednesday, he said traveling restrictions will keep people off flooded roads and ensure that essential goods will reach its communities that need them. There are not a person that hasn't been affected or will not be affected by the event of this past weekend, he said. Adding these events are increasing in frequency due to human caused climate change, Mr. Hogan said. British Columbia must bring the 7 billion other souls that live on this planet to understand that we need to act now to protect us from these types of events that will happen in the future. University British Columbia atmospheric scientist Rachel White told the BBC that the massive devastation caused by the storm can likely be attributed to a combination of human-caused factors. As we warm up the atmosphere, as we warm up the ocean, more water is evaporated from the ocean. So then, when we have atmospheric rivers events, essentially the atmosphere can carry more water towards our mountains. This then condenses into rain. Logging and wildfires have also removed old-grown trees and and they had removed old-grown trees with deep roots, leading to a higher risk of landslides when it rains. Human development in floodplains and the increase of non-absorbent asphalt also increases as of flooding, Professor White said. The extreme weather conditions in Canada come day after world leaders met for the COP climate conference in Glasgow. The same region, British Columbia, suffered a record of high heat waves in the summer that killed more than 500 people, as well as wildfires, including one that destroyed the village of Layton. Some communities at higher elevations have seen temperatures drop below freezing. Farmers and ranchers and lower elevations have struggled with widespread floodings and thousands of animals have died. Approximately 1,500 travelers became stranded in a town of Hope after roads closed. Grace Baptist Church Pastor Jeff Kunn told BBC News in an email on Wednesday that local schools is currently housing about 700 people and that the church is hosting about 250 people and feeding about 400 per day. Around town, many are sleeping in their cars at night, he added. He said the power was restored on Tuesday, which lifted spirits, but food supplies are running low despite an emergency airdrop. The Community Emergency Service have organized some airlift supplies that allowed us to keep food, people said, but the situation with food will become worse if roads do not open soon. Premier Horgan has called on residents to stay at home and to not hoard items you need, your neighbors need as well, he said. Residents of some neighborhoods in the city of Abbotsford were told on Tuesday to leave immediately as raising water levels pose a significant risk to life. In a press conference on Wednesday, Mayor Henry Braun said water levels in the nearby Fraser River were dropping, but warned we're not out of this yet. If we have another weather event like we just went through, we're in deep doo-doo, he said. Rescue operations are still underway in the area and aerial assessments of the damages are being conducted. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, confirmed on Tuesday that one woman was killed in a highway landslide near Lelouit, about 250 millimeters from Vancouver. Motorist Kathleen Renee told CBC News she saw the landslide come down on traffic that was already at a standstill. I just turned around and I'm just watching the whole side of a mountain come down and taking out these cars. Everything just being swept away, just complete panic, she said. Wow. Now here within this particular ecology, and it is talking about how that they're having an atmospherical river over here within Colombia. The last time that it talked about us having a atmospherical river was 8 days ago in the Bay Area. You understand what I'm saying? See, so we're looking at 8 days that we had the same atmospheric river happen out here within the Bay Area because, like I said, of the iniquity that was manifesting out here. Now, that was the first time that has happened in the Bay Area. And now you're hearing how these atmospherical rivers, you understand what I'm saying, are just devastating, you know what I'm saying, other countries. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the damage that happened out here to the Bay Area was felt, okay, to show you the magnitude of what an atmospherical river can do. And we understand how it fell a whole bunch of dried rooted trees. You understand what I'm saying? We had a lot of tree falls, okay, when we had this atmospherical river out here. You understand what I'm saying? We had flooding. We was getting a few inches, you understand what I'm saying, per hours, okay, to where we had a lot of floods that was manifesting out here. A lot of trees, freeways was closed, things of that particular nature. So now here we are over here in British Columbia, over here in Vancouver. And it says that a major storm cut roads, okay, in the rail region. And it says that the Canadian Armed Forces being deployed to help thousands of stranded residents, okay? So here, okay, we're showing you how that when we're looking at, it's talking about how thousands of individuals were being stranded, okay, based upon they're looking at this major storm. What we do is that we come here to the divine vision that's being revealed, and we want to show you these particular principles, okay? So what we're going to do is that we just going to run through these particular principles, all right? Now, we shared with you pertaining to the atmospherical river that when we come here and you're looking at this, that this is a totality of an atmospherical river because we're showing you principles of the waters above and those beneath still conglomerated together. Then as well with the waters above and those beneath still conglomerated together, we're showing you principles of the four rivers, okay, that's within the Garden of Eden. You understand what I'm saying? Pertaining to the Pison, the Gihon, the Hydrokill, and the Euphrates River, okay? And then it's linked with the four rivers that's within the Garden of Eden. As well, it's picking up the principles of the river, that's the River Jordan. So therefore, you got 5 rivers that's manifesting right here. Then when you look at the river pertaining to the devil, that's 6. Then what happens is that we're looking at all these particular principles of water. We got all these particular rivers manifesting. You understand what I'm saying? With the conglomerate waters of those above and those beneath, along with all of the ages and dispensations manifesting right here to show you the whole atmospherical river that is showing you the whole entire purpose from beginning to end manifesting within this atmospherical river. So therefore, pertaining to what we picked up over there, when we read over there in Revelations, how that it was showing John a pure river coming down from heaven. You understand what I'm saying? And it says that how that the river was coming out from Yahweh Elohim and of the Lamb, that you can see how here's Yahweh Elohim and here's the Lamb, and this is that pure river. You understand what I'm saying? That it was talking about, okay? And so therefore, based upon when it was talking about the pure river, that it was coming forth from the law and the prophets. You understand what I'm saying? It says it was coming from the throne of Yahweh. So when it's coming from the throne of Yahweh, talking about that pure river, that here we showed you that here's one of the cherubims right here, here's his wings, here's the other cherubim, and here's his wings. You understand what I'm saying? And then in between, you see nothing but water manifesting. So therefore, here is the throne of Yahweh, and here's that pure river that John was talking about that was coming down from heaven. So therefore, if this is an atmospherical river, this is the same river that John is talking about that is manifesting up above. You understand what I'm saying? Because this particular river is not manifested on the earth like we can pick up the 4 rivers that's within the Garden of Eden, as well as the river that's pertaining to the migratory trek, like the river Jordan. You understand what I'm saying? It's not picking up those particular rivers because those particular rivers are manifesting on the earth plane. You understand what I'm saying? So now we ain't talking about the earth plane because the earth plane is talking about physical and natural things. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when it's talking about that atmospherical river from heaven, you know what I'm saying? What we have to do is come up, okay? So therefore, now this particular atmospherical river is manifesting within the heavens based upon the one that John is talking about over here within Revelations 22:1. Doc, can you go get that for me? Revelations 22:1, please.
Okay, Revelations 22:1. Give me a second. Let me look for it. Revelations 22. And okay, Revelation 22:1. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal.
Clear as crystal. Now he's still talking about John. This is what John talking about. He said Yahshua showed him a pure river of life, pure as crystal. And you can see all that right now. That's what John's looking at right here. Read.
Proceeding out of the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb.
Now here's the throne of Yahweh. We just showed that to you. Here's an archangel right here. Here's his wing. Here's the other one. All right. And here's the Lamb because this is here's the Lamb because it's talking about Yahshua the Messiah. Okay. So therefore, we're seeing how the water is proceeding up out of the Lamb. Why? Because we understand pertaining to those principles that when the centurion guard pierced him in the side, what came out?
Water.
And blood. Okay. So now we can see how it's pure. Okay. And it's coming up out of the Lamb. That's why we got the Lamb up here. And we share with you all the time that this is a manifestation of when the centurion guard pierced him in the side, that out forth came blood and water. Okay. So that's why we got these particular principles right here, okay? So therefore, it says that water was coming up out of the Lamb, you understand what I'm saying? And from the throne of Yahweh. And now we're showing you all these particular principles. This is the throne of Yahweh. Here's the mercy seat. You understand what I'm saying? Here's the 2 cherubim. And this is the water coming from the throne and from the Lamb. Read.
In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life.
Now, wait a minute. It says, read that again.
In the midst of the street of it.
Here's the midst of the street right here, which is the truth, the way, and the life. This is the midst of the street. And you see how it's within the middle, okay? Read.
And on either side of the river.
And on either side of the river. Now, we shared with you how that men walk as trees, okay? We're showing you here pertaining to how Adam got the fig leaves around his loins, and he got a leg here that this is a tree, and here is the leaves around it, and here's the fruit of the tree manifesting right here. So that's why it says that in the midst of the street, it got 2 trees on either side, and we're sharing with you with Yahshua being a tree because here's his leg, and here's the green part of his tree, just like how you see the green part right here pertaining to his tree to show you that you got 2 trees on either side. Okay, read.
And on either side of the river was there a tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits.
Stop. Here's a tree of life. Here's a tree of life. It says on each side that they both bear 12 manner of fruit. Now we understand that pertaining to the Old Testament, okay, coming down from Adam all the way down to Moses, okay, because it says death reigned from Adam to Moses, but not after the similitude of Adam's transgression, that we understand from Adam to Moses that we had what? The 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, that when we come over here to Yahshua, that Yahshua had 12 apostles. Is that right? You with me, Doc?
Yeah.
So now, over here, pertaining to Adam, we had the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, and pertaining to Yahshua, we had the 12 disciples. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how that we had 12 manner of what on each side?
Of fruit.
So that was your 12 manner of fruit on this side, and this was your 12 manner of fruit on this side. It was the 12 tribes of the children of Israel on this side, and then on the fruit on this side was the 12 apostles. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how we had the 12 manner of fruit on each side. You understand what I'm saying? To manifest the principle of the 24 elders in totality. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Read.
And yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations.
Now, I want you to stop right there. Now, it says that it yielded its leaves every month, and we understand that pertaining to the calendar, that it was how many months within a calendar? 12 months. You understand what I'm saying? So every month pertaining to the 12 months, it had produced its leaves for the healing. You understand what I'm saying? Now, it said it produced leaves for healing. It didn't say nothing about it produced fruit every month. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Read.
And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb shall be in it.
So it shall not be no more curse. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it said the throne of Yahweh and the throne of the Lamb shall be in it. Because right now he said that he's going to smite the whole world with a curse. You understand what I'm saying? That's what he said over there in Malachi. All right. So therefore he done smote the whole entire world with a curse. That's what it's going through. But now when it's pertaining to this, you understand what I'm saying? When you get right up in here with the Messiah pertaining to this atmospherical river, you understand what I'm saying? There ain't no curse there. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's talking about principles that's manifesting within heaven, okay? Coming down and coming from above, all right? And see, that's how we got to look at these particular things, man. It just be phenomenal and beautiful. That's enough of that, Doc. Now I'm gonna continue on with the ecology, all right? So now it says that one woman was killed in the landslide, and it says 2 people are missing. All right. It says thousands remain evacuated after an atmospherical river, a long strip of moisture in the air. Okay. Now wait a minute. It says thousands are. Hold on. I just want to read that again. It says thousands remain evacuated. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You see these people right here? Ain't this thousands of individuals going to and through the divided waters of the River Jordan?
Yeah.
Now they being evacuated out of the holy place, going into where? The most holy place. You understand what I'm saying? And therefore, we understand that pertaining to the principles of the River Jordan, that the River Jordan done what? Overflowed its banks. You understand what I'm saying? At all times.
Yeah.
So these people had to evacuate because they had to come up out of their camp early in the morning and go to and through the divided waters of the River Jordan because River Jordan had overflowed its banks. You understand what I'm saying? So there goes your evacuation that you're seeing right there pertaining to the thousands of individuals. Okay?
Yeah.
Now it says that one woman was killed. All right? Now we understand that takes us right back to the woman, you understand what I'm saying, that happened within the garden, right? Because I told you that Adam was what? Not in the transgression, but it was the woman. You understand what I'm saying? You can go over there to the book of Timothy to pick that up. You understand what I'm saying? I believe it's either First Timothy about 1:13 or Second Timothy around 1:13. You understand what I'm saying? To where it says that the man was not in the transgression, but the woman. So therefore, the woman died. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the reason why that it says that one woman has died, because when you go back to the beginning, that the woman was dead before she had gave the fruit into her husband. You understand what I'm saying? She was already dead. Let's go back to the principles and see if I'm seeing what I'm talking about, or if I'm saying the right thing or not. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm talking about is these principles that's manifesting right here. See? Right there. One was already dead. So when it's talking about that one woman had died, you understand what I'm saying, based upon a landslide, okay? Now, you got to understand what she was made from, and that landslide is just showing you how she's dead, right there, okay? There's your dead woman.
Yeah.
And then it says 2 was missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we understand that when we come here, okay, we come right back, it's telling the same story. Now, what happened right here? It says that when Yahweh Elohim was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, what did he do? He said he called unto the man, right?
Yeah.
He says, Adam, where art thou? So therefore, the man and the woman was missing, okay, based upon what Yahweh Elohim had left them within the garden. You understand what I'm saying? Because they hid themselves amongst the trees. You understand what I'm saying? So they're going to get two that was missing pertaining to the principles of what it was talking about when we extracted the first principle about one being dead. You understand what I'm saying? See? Because the woman was dead first, and then the man transgressed. So therefore, there had to be two that was missing. You understand what I'm saying? Because Elohim had called unto the man and says, Adam, where art thou? And remember, he said he called their name Adam. You understand what I'm saying? So he wasn't just calling the man, he was calling them both. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, that's like unto the two people that was missing. You understand what I'm saying? Going all the way back. All right? Then it says, here we go. It says 1,000 remain to be evacuated at the atmospherical river. It says that the moisture in the air that transported water from the tropical area toward the poles dumped into the region. It says okay, we showed the principles about the 24 elders. All right. Now here it says that official says that the region have attributed the natural disaster to the effects of climate change, that the impact of the climate changes on frequent storms is still unclear. It says, but we know that the increase of the sea surface, temperatures warm the air above and make more energy available to drive hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons as a result, okay? Now, so since based upon the sea surface temperatures, when it gets warm and it gets warm above the air, it says it allows more energy to be available. That brings us right back here. You understand what I'm saying? Now, you remember all the principles of how we was getting up here when we were showing you how in our book that we wrote about how air getting trapped up here, about what it does. You understand what I'm saying? About the hot air that gets trapped up here within the skies. Now, we shared what happens on when we have wildland fires, okay? How that wildland fires will make their own weather. You understand what I'm saying? To where you get thunders and lightnings, you understand what I'm saying, from the fires below, and then the fire will formulate its own weather. So now what we're having here, to where we're showing you here, how that when the waters heat up and the air temperatures heat up, it creates energy that's up here and allow the atmosphere to retain a whole lot more water based upon these particular principles that it's talking about right here. And so therefore it says that it allows the energy to manifest for your cyclones, your typhoons, okay, and those things of that particular nature, okay? So what happens is that it goes back to what we was talking about, okay? When we come right back here to north, when we come right here to the O in north, that it takes us right back to the war of the sea and winds. You understand what I'm saying? Because the water from the sea that is being evaporated back up into the atmosphere, you understand what I'm saying, is making these particular storms, you understand what I'm saying, worse than what they are. Because what is happening is that it is taking us back to these particular principles that we have right here on the chart. You understand what I'm saying? And man, you know, I'm telling you, sometimes, you know, I don't know whether to be happy or scared. You know what I'm saying? When I'm reading these particular things, Doc, because here, trying to get these particular principles. Sorry, let me calm down a little. So right there, that here we're showing you the water cycle. Okay. Now with this water cycle, okay, and we're showing you precipitation, that when we come up here and we're showing you the oxygen level right up here, that, you know what I'm saying, within the stratosphere, that this is where it gets hot at, right here. You understand what I'm saying? So when it gets hot right here in the stratosphere, based upon we have the water cycle that's manifesting, that's going through the precipitation, which is doing its transpiration and its evaporation, okay, that is allowing a lot of water to accumulate within the skies. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what happens is, I don't want to break it down yet, but I'm gonna get there. All right. Well, and so I need to kind of slow down. It says here that the world has already warmed about 1.2 Celsius, okay, since the industrial area. Now, 1.2 Celsius is picking up the principle of 12. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All they're doing is putting a point up in there. But now we understand that that's going back to the principles of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. 1 and 2 is 3. Excuse me. So when we look at these particular principles about what it's talking about, and it says that emissions have already heated up, you understand what I'm saying, this high because of man-made disasters. It says that that the industrial area began and temperatures will keep rising unless the government around the world makes steep cuts to emissions, okay? It says that this happened at 12 o'clock, all right? That when this emergency had took place based upon this particular atmospherical river. So when it took, when it happened at 12 o'clock, okay, we understand that that was 12 o'clock p.m. So guess what hour that puts us in?
12 o'clock p.m.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the 12th hour. No, 6 hour.
That's correct, Doc. That's correct. So when it's the 6th hour, what we do is we come right here. Oops. There we go. Bam. 12th hour. Okay. So that means at the 6th to the 9th hour, you understand what I'm saying? That what happened? That we understand it was a solar eclipse, and that's about the time to where we understand that it got dark outside when Yahshua was upon the cross. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when this particular atmospherical river had manifested, it had got dark on the 3rd watch, okay, from the 6th to the 9th hour, and this is when this atmospherical river has started. You understand what I'm saying? So do you see what this is saying? Do you see who's in control of this? So if it got dark from the 6th to the 9th hour, and it says that this particular emergency started at 12 p.m., that is picking up the same principles of what happened when Yahshua was upon the cross. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're revealing to you that if Yahshua is the bread that came down from heaven, okay, and he said that, oh my goodness, boy. You say you stuck him in the side and out forth came blood and water, man. They're just trying to show you all these particular principles, man. You know, I mean, it's so many things that I see that I can't even talk. I get tongue-tied just looking at all these particular principles, man. And I'm just trying to grasp them as they come along. You understand what I mean? So therefore, what it's doing is with this atmospherical river, it's taking us right back here. You understand what I'm saying? To show you the crucifixion of Yahshua the Messiah. Okay, so therefore, based upon these particular principles with this atmospherical river, we understand that the waters, okay, is a manifestation of people. All right, and so therefore, it says that out of his side that came forth blood and water. You understand what I'm saying? So this is talking about the individuals. You understand what I'm saying? Who's within the body of Yahshua the Messiah. Oh boy, let me see. Let me calm down. It says, it says that travel restrictions, he said the travel restrictions will keep people off flooded roads and ensure that essential goods will reach all the communities that need them. There is not a person that has not been affected or will not be affected by the event that has passed this weekend, he said. Yeah. Now, pertaining to the words of Yahweh, Yahweh said that all shall know me from the least to the greatest. You understand what I'm saying? So they're talking about that this atmospherical river is going to affect everybody that's over there within Vancouver. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That one scripture where it says, be sure that your flight is not in winter.
Right.
And that atmospheric river is like a winter storm.
That's correct, Doc. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly, you know what I'm saying, what this is a manifestation of. That's very good. Because see, now you're
So
starting
they're
to
keeping
see,
people off the highways.
that's right. That's exactly. And now you're starting to see of how the scriptures are being able to unfold to tell a story about what's taking place. You understand what I'm saying? Within reality right now. You understand what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
good because Yahweh is open up, you know what I'm saying? You know, your mind to where you can be able to see how the scriptures are being able to unfold and see those things are good. See,
Yeah.
it says here, it says that it says due to human caused climate control, he said that he says, adding that these events are increasingly frequent due to human caused climate control. Okay. Now, these things are happening because of what the people are doing. Now, it says that in British Columbia must bring the 7 billion other souls that live on this planet to understand that we need to act now. So it's talking about how that Mr. Morgan is saying that British Columbians must bring 7 billion other souls together, okay, on this planet to understand that we need to act now about these emissions. Now, in the scriptures, Yahweh Elohim said that all souls are mine, okay? So now, to try to get all these particular souls to come together to agree to stop killing this whole entire creation, what we got to understand is that all souls of mankind belong to Yahweh Elohim. He is going to get the whole world's attention based upon the things that he's doing. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, based upon all these particular souls, Mr. Horgan, you ain't got to worry about you trying your best to convince the world based upon what they're doing, because trust me, when the creator finished getting a hold to everybody else, you understand what I'm saying, and let them know what they're doing is wrong, we're going to hope that it's not eternally too late. But trust me, he is going to get their attention, you know what I'm saying, for them to stop doing what they're doing, to allow the creation to have its Sabbath. You understand what I'm saying? To have its rest, just like what we've been showing you. Okay? Now here it says that that the atmosphere, it says Rachel White told the BBC that the massive devastation caused by this storm can be likely attributed to a combination of human caused factors. As we warm up the atmosphere, we warm up the ocean. More waters is evaporated from the ocean, okay? So now let's go back to these particular principles right here that I was sitting up talking about, all right? Now, when we come here to the principles of precipitation, precipitation, and these principles right up here, see that this is what it's talking about, all right? So what we do is let's go to the waters right here and pick up the principles of precipitation right here, okay? To where we pick up these waters. So where you see these waters that's manifesting right here, that what it's talking about is that when it's heating up, you're heating up the stratosphere, all right, where our oxygen cycle is, all right? So you're heating this up because you're putting up carbon dioxide and all this stuff back up into the ozone layer to where you're heating it up. So what's happening is that when you're heating up the air and you're heating up the water, it says that you're making the atmosphere to suck up more water to where up here is holding more water because you're heating up the waters up here within the stratosphere, and down here on the biosphere, you're heating up the waters down here within the sea. So when you're doing that, what happens is that based upon the precipitation, it's precipitating more. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the evaporation based upon the transportation from the moisture that's within the air from all the plant life, the ocean and everything else. You understand what I'm saying? So you're making the transportation progress more because you're heating up the elements. You understand? So if you're taking more up, you understand what I'm saying? That means that when it's time for it to come down, when we're looking at the principles of how moisture releases hot air and then it ascends, and we're talking about the principles of our doldrum, it says that it descends dry air and absorbs moisture. So what we're looking at right here, are we looking at the principles of your trade winds? You understand what I'm saying? And based upon your water cycles, that when the moisture, we got that right here on the chart, that it says the moisture releases moist air when it ascends. And then based upon our doldrum, it says it descends dry air and absorbs moisture. So now what we got to understand that if this is hot while moisture is being released to the air and it's ascending, and it's hot, so quite naturally that it's going to take up more. So when it descends in dry air and absorbs moisture, then more is going to fall. You understand what I'm saying? That's just what it's talking about. And it's picking up all these particular principles that's right here. And what we call that what? Temperate zones. You understand what I'm saying? That's just what we call that. And that's the principle that's manifested right here. We call that temperate zones. And so that's what's happening based upon these atmospherical rivers. And they don't understand it. And that's why they're calling it man-caused emissions. You understand what I'm saying? Or man is causing these particular problems to manifest upon the earth plane. Okay? So now it goes on and it talks about how, I got a couple squat. It says how that they had to remove old grown trees with deep roots. It says leading to a higher risk of landslide when it rains. It says human developments in floodplains and the increase of non-absorbent asphalt also increase the risk of flooding. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the principle of what logging and wildfires had talked about, because it says that it said the atmosphere can carry more water towards our mountains. It says from the evaporation from the ocean. So then we have atmospherical rivers. Essentially, the atmosphere can carry more water towards our mountains, and this can cause this then condenses into rain. So here, what it is talking about, that when we come here to the vision, it's talking about old trees. All right. That brings us right here. Okay. And so along with these old trees, which is this right here, and it's talking about the roots, it says that they're trying to pull up these old roots. You understand what I'm saying? From these old trees, because these particular roots, that when it rains, okay, like with this water vapor right down here, what happens is that it allows the water to go down where these roots are, and then it makes the landslide because the roots have the land open up. You understand what I'm saying? So when that water gets them down there, it can't do nothing but slide. Okay. So that's the principle that's manifesting right here, okay, upon the lion's head pertaining to the roots. You understand what I'm saying? And the water that's getting down in there. So they have to uproot these particular roots, you know what I'm saying, based upon these old trees, okay? And we know that this tree of the knowledge of good and of evil is an old tree. You understand what I'm saying? See, a real old, all right? Yes, indeed. Okay. So now it says that in British Columbia, it says suffered a record of high heat waves in the summer that killed more than 500 people. We suffered those high heat waves here too. It says as well as wildfires, including that it destroyed the village of Lyons. Okay. So now we see how that based upon these wildland fires, it says it destroyed a whole entire village. You understand what I'm saying? When we go to the scriptures, you understand that we know that Yahweh Elohim had destroyed the city with fire and brimstone, known as Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
So when it's talking about how that over here in British Columbia, how that they had a wildfire that destroyed a whole entire village, that we correlate that village of Leighton, you understand what I'm saying, unto the principles of how Yahweh Elohim had destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah within the scripture. You understand? So this is how we relate that to that. Then when it's talking about how it says that that some communities at higher elevations have seen temperatures drop below freezing, okay? And it says that farmers and ranchers or lower elevations have struggled with widespread flooding and thousands of animals have died. So now I ask, why so? See? Now, it says that in higher elevations that temperatures have dropped below freezing based upon the higher elevations, okay? They're freezing. But when it comes down to the lower, it says that elevations have struggled with widespread flooding. You understand? Now it says that the farmers, who was a farmer? Cain was a farmer. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the reason why that there's widespread flooding. You understand what I mean? See? And we understand that pertaining to these particular principles, okay, that when we come here to the divine vision and revelation, that we understand that if Cain was a farmer, you understand what I'm saying, and he brought fruits unto Yahweh that wasn't pleasing, you understand what I'm saying, and then Yahweh told him to go to his brother and ask him for a lamb who was a rancher. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if the rancher is dead, you understand what I mean? Then the farmer can't go to him to go get no animals. You understand what I'm saying? We have to understand that off the top, okay? So when we look at these particular principles, see, we understand that Yahshua was what? The only acceptable sacrifice. You understand?
Yeah.
And so now, since this was the only acceptable sacrifice, now you can't go to your brother and ask him for a lamb, okay? Because Yahshua fulfilled that. You can't do that no more. There ain't no more sacrifices for remissions of sin. Yahshua was the last. So therefore, it ain't no more ranchers, it ain't no more farmers. The farmers cannot go to the rancher and say, give me a lamb. You understand what I'm saying? Because Yahshua had fulfilled that, okay? And so this is the reason why when it's talking about the principles of the waters of the lower levels, you understand what I'm saying? It says that the water levels has risen and all the animals have died. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's picking up the principles of what happened right back here. See, boy, I'll tell you, boy, it just be fantastic, man. That's the same principles of what happened right back here. When we come back and see what happened with the flood. See? Starts all the way back pertaining to that rancher and that farmer. And then we see how pertaining to that in the process of time, that the rancher died and the farmer died. You understand what I'm saying? Why? Because it says that all the animals had did what? Drown. And don't we see all the people and everything drowned that didn't get up in this ark? You understand what I'm saying? Now Yahweh had led the animals that he wanted to, 2 by 2, to get up in this ark, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And so therefore, all these people that's right there to where he preached, you understand what I'm saying, for 120 years, and their blood is upon their head. You understand what I'm saying? See?
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of this sin to where Yahweh said that I'm going to destroy the earth whom I have made because man's thought is evil continuously. Where did it derive from? From the farmer and the rancher. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You see them particular principles? And so now we see how the manifestation changed, but the principle remains the same. So this is how we come back and get the rancher and the farmer. It says that the flood waters had rose up, you understand what I'm saying? And all the animals died. And now we see the principle manifesting right here on the divine vision and revelation. You understand? Man, I just be like, man, I'm telling you, I be blown away when I be seeing this type of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I just be like, man, that is just phenomenal. Okay. And we understand that pertaining to when we look at the principles based upon Cain and Abel, and it's talking about how that the farmer and rancher was destroyed, that remember that Abel was likened unto Yahshua the Messiah. Okay. So therefore, when we come here and we see how when Abel was taken, you understand what I'm saying, how he was likened unto the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So now it says here that you had 1,500 travelers that was stranded in the town called Hope. Now, ain't hope called a hope? It's the substance of things hoped for, evident of the things unseen. You understand what I'm saying? And it says how you had 1,500, huh?
Mm-hmm.
In the city called Hope, right?
Yeah.
Look at this, bro.
Yep. Evidence things not seen yet.
Mm-hmm. 1,500. 1500. 1500. 1,500. And then it's picking up how the spirit of Elohim had moved upon the face of the deep. You understand what I'm saying? Why? Because that was an atmospherical river here. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep, I see it.
See? And that's showing you how the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the deep. You understand what I'm saying? Because this in origin was an atmospherical river that happened in the beginning. Because what happens is that we're picking up the principles, okay, that had happened, man, boy. Now, when we come here, boy, I tell you, I'd be so juiced, man. When y'all would be showing me this stuff, man, I'd be like, Father, I hope that I can just show them how you show me. That's all I ask. Just let me show them how you show me, Father, and I'll just be grateful. I don't care nothing about nothing. Now, right here, we go here all the time and show you based upon when we come here pertaining to the scriptures after we sharing you how the chaosis had manifest based upon the angelic transgression, that when we come down here and you see chaosis, all right, and you got the spirit of Elohim is showing you how that this is the spirit of Elohim moving upon the face of the deep and the darkness comprehended it not. That's the principle right there. Now that is the same principle of what's manifesting right here. You understand what I'm saying? With the chaoticness, you know what I'm saying? This is Elohim moving upon the face of the deep and the darkness, which is the chaoticness comprehended it not. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how you see the same principles that are manifested up here are the same principles that are manifesting down here. Okay? Right here and here. Because showing you how, if this is eternity and the creation is coming in, that's how these principles are manifesting. So this is how you got the spirit of Elohim moving upon the face of the deep. You got the chaoticness and the Holy Spirit manifesting simultaneously. Okay, so that's how you got those particular principles right here. All right, and we just wanted to sit up and show them to you. And then it says how that they were stranded and they was all stranded in a town called Hope after roads have closed. Now, it says that we got to go to Grace Baptist Church. And we know that Grace was the name of Enoch's mom. You understand? You remember that?
Grace was Enoch's mom.
See, we have went over so much stuff. See, you don't even remember those things. See, that's why it's good for us to go back over the things that we have taught. You understand? Because when we go back over them and we hear them again, we be like, wow, that's right. You understand what I'm saying? And then we remember how that we have acquired those particular principles. You understand? Because see, we have to understand that with Enoch, that Enoch mom had manifested the same principles as Mary. When we come here, because Jared is not Enoch's dad. He's supposed to be Enoch's dad, like Joseph was supposed to be Yahshua's dad. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You say that, but see that just like when we came here. Remember, I say that just like when we come here. Now we see the spirit coming down here because it's showing you just like how when the spirit had overshadowed Mary, this is the same spirit that's manifesting right here when it says the seventh from Adam. You understand? See?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So therefore, we have to understand that if you trace yourself all the way back to Adam, then what happens is that you trace yourself back to the Nephilim and those satanic spirits. You understand? And that's what a lot of people within the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research is doing. They trace themselves all the way back to Adam, and then they get lost. Because when you go all the way back to Adam, you catch yourself up with the Nephilim. But when you come back to the seventh of Adam, and you start here with Enoch, and Enoch being the father of Noah, You understand what I'm saying? That is showing that how we all come from heavenly or angelic descent, being descended from Enoch. You understand what I'm saying? Because Enoch did not have no physical or biological father. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why we have to understand that this is where we start ours at, and we pick up and say that we are descendants from Noah. And then this is when Noah was what? Translated from one world unto another. And that's the reason why that he has blue. You understand what I'm saying? Because he was translated, okay, from one world to another, okay? And this is how that we were what? Translated into the kingdom of what? His dear son. Because we understand it from here, who was the one who closed the ark? Enoch was the one who closed the ark. You understand what I'm saying? Because it says that Elohim closed the door. You understand?
Yeah.
So we got to look at all these particular principles, man, and run them all the way back. And this is how that we will not err once we do that. Why? Because the scriptures cannot be broken, and they must perpetuate all the way from the beginning, all the way from the end. So therefore, if Yahweh Elohim declared the end from the beginning, that we have to go back to the beginning to see how the end is going to be declared. Okay. So then it says that we have 700 people in the church. That's pertaining to the body, okay? Because when we talk about 7, that we have to come here, right? Oops, you can't see what I'm pointing at. Oh, that's so funny. All right. I know, I do that so often because I be thinking y'all in the house with me. Now, when we talk about 7, the principle of 700, it says that it got 700 individuals within the school, that we come here for 7 because we understand pertaining to the first day of creation, how we have 7 planes, okay? And so therefore, since there's 7 planes pertaining to the principle of the first day of creation, and we got 7 planes, is because we got 7 steps within the tabernacle, okay? So that's why we got 7 planes. So we come pertaining to the 700 that is manifesting within the school, okay? So why is the school, and we come to Adam when it's talking about that there's a manifestation of 700 people in the church. I'm sorry, it says 700 people within the church, all right? So we come here to the first day of creation, and we come here to Adam because it's talking about 700 within the church, okay? And so when we look at that particular principle, it's because, like I said, we have 7 planes, okay? And then this is the beginning, you understand? And everything came up out of Adam. You understand what I mean? So if it said it was 700 within the church, we have to see how that they was inside of him. You understand what I'm saying? That all of us was inside of Adam. So this is the principle of how 700 was in the church. And this is a manifestation of how Adam was the first principle of the tabernacle pattern. Now, when it's talking about 250 within the school, and about 250 also, I'm sorry, hold on a second. It says, oh yeah, okay, the local school is hosting about 700 people. Now, I was right. Now, if this is the school, you understand what I'm saying? And it says that 700 was manifested within the school. And I said that here, that there were 7 planes within the first day of creation. That's within the body of Adam. And this is talking about the school, that we understand that from Adam to Moses, okay, that's picking up the principles of the schoolmaster. You understand? Because the schoolmaster is that to lead us unto the Messiah, okay? So that's why we have to go to the law and to the prophets, or go back to Moses, because Moses is pertaining to the schoolmaster. So the 700 that's within the school is we come here to Adam, that has the first day of creation with the 7 planes within it, because it is picking up the principles of the schoolmaster unto the Messiah. Now, when it's picking up the 250 within the church, which is the manifestation of 7, that Yahshua is the Son. So when we pick up the principles of 2 in our numerology is the Father and the Son. So therefore that brings us here. And Yahshua says that 5 is the principles of the holy place, to where Yahshua says stand within the holy place. So therefore we pick up the church as the 250 as Yahshua. So we pick up the 7, the principle of 700. We come here to Adam. the 250, we come here and pick up Yahshua because Yahshua is the church. You understand what I'm saying? See?
Yeah.
Adam being the schoolmaster, pertaining to the schoolmaster that leads you to the Messiah, and Yahshua is the church. Okay, so the 250 that's in the church is representation unto Yahshua. And then when it says that 400 people, that the church is feeding 400 people a day, that we understand that Yahshua is the principle of four. And what did Yahshua do? Yahshua fed the multitudes when he was upon the mountain, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he did that 2 times. He picked up 1 fragment of 12 fragments of remaining pertaining to the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, didn't he? And then the other time he picked up 7 fragments. Is that right?
Yeah.
So therefore the 7 fragments go back to the 700 individuals, you understand what I'm saying, that was housed within the school. You understand what I'm saying? To show you how these principles perpetuate all the way around. And the 250 that feed the 400 is showing you how Yahshua, which is a number of change, have fed the masses of the individuals. You understand what I'm saying? Man, I'm telling you, this thing is beautiful, man. This gospel is just, man, it just does not stop. Okay? So therefore, it goes all the way, and it says around, there are many people sleeping in their cars. And he says that that the power was restored. Oh yeah, I picked up the principle of, yeah, thousands of animals have died, and Yahweh had chose those to go within the ark 2 by 2. And then it says that he says if it worsens, he says that he hoped the roads reopen soon. He says that he asked for people to stay at home. He asked people not to hoard items. He says your neighbor needs stuff as well. So here's talking about your neighbor. Yahshua said to fulfill the law. He said to love your neighbor as you love yourself, and that's a fulfillment of the whole law. It says here that immediately water rising levels pose significant risk to life. So it says in a press conference that he told them to evacuate because the water was rising to kill people. That's likened to the waters of the flood. It says that Mayor Henry Braun said that water levels in the nearby Fraser River were dropping, but warned. He says, we're not out of this yet. If we have another weather event like this to go through, he says, we in deep doo-doo. He said the rescue operations are still underway. He says the area is at an area assessment of the damages that's being conducted, okay? So when he is talking about how that there's an aerial assault, how that he is looking at it from up above, you understand what I'm saying? And he's looking down at things, you understand? See? So now when we're looking at these things pertaining to the vision, you understand what I'm saying? You're talking about an aerial assault, that we are looking at things from the most holy place and looking down. You understand what I'm saying? That's just like us looking back, you know, within the purpose of Yahweh Elohim. See? Then it says here, it says how she said we looked that he says that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police confirmed that on Tuesday that one woman was killed in a highway landslide near Le Louet, about 250 miles from Vancouver. All right. So now that's a principle of a woman being killed 250 miles from Vancouver. So therefore, that's a principle of 7. That would pick up the principles of Adam and the woman being killed. That would re-correlate that back into Eve. And then it says that she says that the traffic was already at a standstill when she was coming around and she seen a mountain slide onto traffic. So therefore, we understand that Yahweh said to stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh. And then it says how everybody that she's seen how everything was just swept away within panic. You understand what I'm saying? How people were just panicking because all these things were just sitting up happening. Okay. So now we see all these particular threats happening with these particular water slides and these things that are happening. And we already picked up earlier within the previous ecologies how the Yahweh Elohim said that he wouldn't destroy the earth by water again. He's showing you how they're pertaining to the immutable spirit law. You understand what I'm saying? That Yahweh Elohim cannot lie, and nor will he change pertaining to the things that he is manifesting pertaining to his purpose. So I'm really hoping that you could see the ramifications that we have ran to show you the things pertaining to Yahweh Elohim's purpose of what he is doing right now today, you know? And hey, I stand to be corrected. You got something better that's fitting the pattern that's coming. You understand what I'm saying? Anything that's, you know, that's in close proximity to where we can understand what's going on in the world by the divine vision and revelation of our founder and the scriptures. You got anything to say? If you can do it better, hey, I'm open to listen. And another thing too, I'm not trying to challenge you, and I'm not trying to weigh and compare. I'm not trying to do that. Where I'm coming from is that we're really trying to get an understanding of the purpose of the Creator to understand what's going on within the world based upon what he has said within his scriptures that we see coming to pass that is talked about over there in Matthew, the 24th chapter. You understand? And the things that are being talked about within Revelations. So this is the reason why that we go through these ramifications. We authenticate the divine vision and revelation of Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, and we be obedient so that we can understand what our Father is doing in these times. Okay? Because if we don't know what Yahshua was doing, and you don't have a snowball's chance in hell. So now I'm going to read our doxology, which is Ephesians 3 and last two reads as follows. Now to him that is able to do exceedingly abundant above all that we ask or think, according to the powers that work within us. Unto him be the glory in the assembly by the Messiah Yahshua throughout all generations and all ages. Let us all say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And I hope it was something that, you know, sparked your spiritual appetite, something that you've seen, something that you learned that'll be beneficial to you to help you understand something about the Creator a little bit more. And that is my sincere desire. And so that being said, I thank you for your time. And let us go hence and shalom. Okay, thank you.
All right.